Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And listen, there is sad news today. The Queen has passed away. Rest in peace to the Queen. An inspirational figure for all of you in the UK. Um, Stan will be joining us momentarily. There you go, Stan. You want to? I'll go to you first, Stan. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Good, good. We'll get into Arsenal stuff very soon. Then, Tony, thanks for joining.
Yep.
Hey, Gary might be sitting. Gary might be sitting this one out, Tony. So you get some more airtime.
Darn, I get to say what I think and not
What,
have
like you never
Gary
do?
answer for me.
Because you never do, right? You never do that, right? You never say
No.
what you think.
Like you never do, indeed. Let's welcome those who have joined the boarding party right now. Tony said, "Buckle in and order your food and beverages. It's free, free content, free food, free beverages. We provide the entertainment. Hopefully, is there a smoking section on this bird?" Says Felix Gunner. Probably if you're in Tony's zone, yeah, Tony will look after you. Evening, everyone. Hope you're all good. Uh, Stephen, the Arsenal Misfit, Steve Denham. Hi, guys. Great of you for all of you to join us again. Tony BX, there's a lot of Star Dog around my area. Have you guys tried that?
Ray's like, what's he talking about?
Over my head, flew right over my head.
This is for
The
another.
strain of weed, Ray. That's all you need to know.
I
I was going to be discreet, but Tony just tells everyone.
Tony cuts right to it. Is it the Corey cut? Okay, all right. Corey cut is the breeder's cut of Stardog named after Corey Haim. Learning something new every day, Tony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, not living if you're not learning something. Stephen, you in the UK, I take it. LOL, a lot of it out there. Okay. This is what happens, Arsenal Fan Circle. The conversation goes in
Nobody wanted food. They just wanted
BX Gunner, you're in charge of the smoking section, and finally we're caught up. Yeah, my neighbor used to have any amount of proper blue cheese, big bags full. Okay, all right, Stan. So the road to the Champions League starts here, right?
Apparently so. Yes.
I want to be in that Champions League, and we've got two avenues to do it. We talked about this before, 2 years ago. And here we are again at the start of the season. 5 wins from 6 in the league, not too shabby. If I do say so myself, not too shabby. And points on the board tonight against FC Zurich. And there's a lot of good things to talk about in today's game in the Europa League. So we'll get into it. But Stan, your overall thoughts on the Europa League opening round?
Well, this was a strange one for me today because I had to watch the broadcast on a naughty stream, shall we say. And the naughty stream that I found didn't have any commentary. And that kind of plays a little bit of a major part in the second half of this game. So I managed to, because there was no commentary, I was watching the game quite intently. And I was scheduled to do a post-match review with Danny over on a Bergkamp Wonderland. So I was watching the game, taking my notes as I do. And then obviously we got to half time. And then that's when all hell broke loose. My mum was phoning me from Cyprus to ask me if I was okay. And I'm like, I thought she was talking about the football, but she wasn't. She was talking about obviously the Queen of England. And then my partner, she was phoning me, asking me if I was all right. And I'm like, this isn't about the football, right? She's like, so a lot of people were quite concerned about me. I think it's because I'm English, I suppose, living in Canada. But my mum was also quite fond of the Queen. So I missed a lot of the second half because I had a lot of people on the phone. And usually I can train myself to take a phone call and listen to football at the same time. Yeah. But there was no commentary.
I think, Stan, I think most men can do that. They can listen, have a conversation and listen to something else at the same time.
Yeah, but there was no commentary. So I was kind of the second half of me came in patches. So from what I gather, in the chat box earlier over on the Bergkamp Wonderland, a lot of people will say that they found the game boring. Oh, really boring. And from what I gather, then it seems to me that from what I saw in the first half, I actually enjoyed the first half. I
Yep.
thought we played pretty well. I thought there were a lot of moments and spells in that first half where we had total control. So it seems to me, and from what I can gather, listening to everybody talk about the second half, we didn't really we kind of let ourselves down in the second half. It seems, and the surprise to me is that we made what I would call reverse substitutions, and what I mean by that is, we brought on three players that are considered first team
Wrong.
players,
Yeah.
and the level didn't go up by all accounts. The level seems to decline further during that second half.
Yeah.
So I find that quite strange. I can understand it if maybe you take three first teamers out and then you put in second string, you might see a bit of a drop off. So I'm surprised to see that it happened the other way around. But the history books aren't going to say that, right? You look up
No.
when we look in the books now, it's going to say that we won our first game in the Europa League 2-1.
Yeah, and listen, hopefully it's the first leg on the way to a long journey through.
Why do we always have to talk about first leg, second
I
leg, two
wasn't I
legs appear?
wasn't necessarily
Oh yeah,
talking
sorry,
about
Tony.
your leg, Tony, but
Oh,
we got to put this up here on the ticker then. Help Tony. Let's go to tonysnewleg.com and let's
Oh,
really
you've
get
just
that going.
reminded me of something, and I'm sorry to cut in there, but on last week's show, I totally forgot. We can do it later, but if you want to remind me later, I can give everybody a bit of an update on some things that have been going on to try and raise some awareness for Tony. So if you don't
Yeah.
want to do it now, remind me, and I can do it towards the end of the show, right? But I will
Yeah,
forget.
we'll do it probably right after we preview this game.
Okay.
Stan and BX Gunners talked about Real Sociedad. Yes,
Well, what happened to them?
they've beaten Man United
Oh, did they?
in their Europa League group. Now United have a very easy group,
What was the
but
score, by the way, for them?
1-0. It was a penalty,
Okay.
and I saw Goldbridge complaining about
Soft
is the ref
penalties, really? A Man United fan complaining about soft
and
penalties.
not only
Flipping
that,
heck.
but he's
Cheeky bit.
asking, was the referee local? I'm sure it's clickbait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After what they did to us on Sunday with
they didn't do nothing to us, Ray.
well, they had a local referee. The referee was clearly biased, in my
Yeah.
opinion, Tony. But there you go. That's football. That's opinions. And Real Sociedad beat Manchester United tonight. And Tony, you will know it's very, very important in this year of the Europa League to actually win your group and be top of your group. Because if you struggle and you come second, you might think you're going to the next stage. You are going to the next stage. But what's very unique about that? Do you know what that is, Tony? If you come second in your group, you face who?
Some of the Champions League drop-in teams.
Yeah, some of the third place Champions League teams, and that's going to be very, very difficult in the spring to overcome if you face a very decent team from a good group. So, Man United got off to a bad start. Hopefully, Real Sociedad can continue through and win out, and Man United come second. Their other two teams in their group are pretty poor. On our side, PSV drew 1-1 with Glimt. So Bodo Glimt. So we are in control of our group already in the first after the first game. 3 points for us and one for them. But to tag on to what Stan was saying, Tony, I thought it was a game in which we got control of after about 61 minutes, and I think we took the gas off the pedal, or foot off the pedal. We'll talk about the debut goal for Marquinhos, the influence of Eddie and Nketiah, and they sort of assisted each other as well. And Stan's right. Some of our better players came on as substitutes, and I think that's a good thing. But we'll
I
debate.
think it's a bad thing. I would have brought him on at all. Why do you bring Xhaka on? Let the kid rest.
Yeah, notwithstanding that, I got that in
Yeah.
early.
Got that
Stan.
in early, man. Early
Yeah,
doors.
yeah. Saka is one that may not have come on for me, but all of the other players, maybe Gabriel Jesus not. But I think if we have two strikers, we need to rotate them a lot, and within games we have to do that. So I like the substitution of Gabriel Jesus, um, and we sat back a little bit and we controlled the game at 2-1, and
But
They
it was so close. We had so much possession and everything, and just it ended up being just they damn near tied it.
And Zurich had to come at us as well. They had nothing to lose. Go for it. Stephen Denham said, right, guys, I'm getting into bed, so I'll be watching, but not in the chat. The other Stephen said, considering the opposition, it was a pretty underwhelming performance. Stan, when you take into account, you have a couple of debutants. You have Marquinhos. You have Tony's namesake.
Don't talk about that guy. Can't say much about him.
I'm calling him Teabag.
Teabag.
And you had Fabio Vieira, Teabag, making his full debut as well. It's not surprising we had a little bit of a disjointed performance in that way.
I was looking forward to seeing Teabag, Marquinhos, and also Eddie and Nketiah to see how they would contribute into this game. Obviously, Eddie, because he was getting a start, and it's his sixth appearance now, and he hasn't really done too much in the first five. So I was looking to see how he was gonna. Mr. Tom, Fabio Vieira, man, he looks like Teabag from
Prison Break.
Prison Break. And when I was writing my notes earlier for the show, it was quicker to write Teabag than Fabio Vieira. So it's in here now, and I thought the other two, making their debuts, I thought they had a good showing for me. And I think that the difference is, from what I've seen, I know it's early doors, but it seems to me that the difference between Teabag and Odegaard is that Odegaard seems to want to travel with the ball and keep the ball longer, whereas Teabag's not afraid to have a shot. Do you know what I mean? So he might be someone that could chip in with some goals as the season goes on, because he's not shy about having a go. I mean, he tried to chip the keeper at one point. Did you see that? He almost pulled it off.
Yeah, ball play.
So it's a nice contrast. I like that we've got two players in that position, and they've each got their valuable traits. They're just not carbon copies of the same thing. There's a little bit of variety there.
Yeah, indeed. Marquinhos' goal from BX Gunner, and the Eddie assist with a tough finish. We'll get into the goals again as well. Stephen, I agree with you. I thought Marquinhos was man in the match. Hold your thoughts on that one, Tony. We will do the one man in the match for this one. A good debut for the youngster. And what I loved as well about Marquinhos is it really meant something to him, Tony. He got emotional after that goal.
Yeah,
you want your players to.
Hey, Ray, let me ask you a question, right? If you were sat on the bench for Arsenal, or they gave you a start and you scored on your debut, you'd be fucking balling as well. I know I would. I've done it many times in my dreams.
It's just refreshing to see that type of emotion from a player. I liked it.
Yeah, this is a player who's come, and he's 19 years old. He's come from Brazil, and he may not have come from the most.
Has anyone actually seen the date on his passport? Because he's a big lad. Is he really 19?
He does not look 19. He looks 25. He looks as old as Jesus does.
Have we actually checked that we've not had someone's pulling a fast one here?
That's the first thing I said when I seen him.
He's very sturdy, right?
Season.
He's a very sturdy looking lad. Sometimes we get players and we think, okay, they need to get into the gym and bulk up a bit. This guy's bulked already.
Yeah, and listen, he looked quite busy, Stan, in this game. Let's go.
He was dropping back on defense a lot. I liked what he's doing on defense and offense.
He had a real purple patch around the 15th minute. He gets on the end of a cross in the 15-minute stand, and he misses on the volley. He goes over the bar.
That did give me a bit of nerves when I saw that, because it reminded me of like a Thomas Partey kind of a thing, some of them wild shots, or Tavares sometimes. And I was thinking, oh no, we ain't got another one of them that he can do all of the difficult stuff, the tricky bits, wriggling away from players, keeping the ball at his feet, getting loads of yardage with the ball, and then he can't put it away. But it was very quick after that he proved me wrong, and it was a sigh of relief.
Yeah, and listen, we're going to call him Teabag, right? So Teabag starts.
He does look like him, right? He does. If no one knows what I'm talking about, just Google him, man. Because I said it earlier, and everyone in the chat box was going, "Who's Teabag?" Why Stan saying Teabag? And then I explained it, and Danny put a picture of him up together, and the picture it was uncanny.
I think either
He's
Stan's going to
he's
have
an
this.
interesting looking guy.
Tony, I think Stan's either going to have this niche of naming and christening our
There's been a
Arsenal
few
players.
now, isn't there? There's been Tommy Tickle,
Yeah.
Gabriel Megalegs,
Mega legs.
We're not talking about Tommy Tickle getting sacked already.
Colonel
We
Mustard,
will. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll talk about Tommy Tickle.
the old
Well, yeah,
the Colonel.
we either let Stan corner the market, or we bring our A game to it and start challenging Stan with
Bring
some
it.
of our own names. Right?
Bring it.
Colonel Mustard was a good one. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stan, a great breakaway. Fabio Vieira, teabag, as we
Yeah.
now affectionately know him. Right.
Christened.
Great pass releases Eddie Nketiah down the left-hand side, and this is like a quick transition goal.
And again, I shit myself because Eddie goes tearing off of the ball, and I've seen him do this before, right? You know, he keeps control of the ball, tears off of it. You know, he's got loads of fucking green grass in front of him, and then all he has to do is put it away, and then he fluffs it. So I was kind of like, oh my, how is this going to end? But he was really clever to look up and drilling that really low drilled cross, and Marquinhos was just waiting it to tuck it away, kept his composure. Tucked it away, and as you mentioned, the reaction, man, I love that. You can see what it means to him. You know what I mean? I know I used to say it about Martinelli, but I can say it about this kid. You know, it was probably like, it was only a year ago he was probably playing keepy up with watermelons barefoot in the streets of Sao Paulo. You know what I mean? Now he's scoring for Arsenal in the Europa League,
and that's why it means just for him to maybe all of that probably came to him in that emotional moment when he scored the goal, scoring for Arsenal. A Brazilian kid from probably a poor area.
I'm not sure if we can call him a kid or not.
Yeah,
big kid, and you know, the emotion just got to him. In the bright lights now, we want more next season. We want Champions League next season, but hopefully this is the step towards that goal. Tony, Eddie Nketiah looks up, as Stan said. Usually he's going down blind alleys. You know, we saw the Chelsea game where he got a couple of goals where he was direct. He's direct here. He sees Marquinhos breaking past the centre back, and he's ahead of him. And the ball's played perfectly across for Marquinhos, Tony.
Yeah, like Eddie was finally looking up, looking for other players, getting them involved. Don't think he had the best of games, but that pass was good. Good shot. Better celebration. And I think Marquinhos is probably ahead of where Martinelli was his first season. He's bigger.
Yeah.
Well,
Won't surprise me if
I
he
don't
can
know,
get 10
Tony.
goals.
Remember that Chelsea goal? Let's not get too distracted by shiny new things, right?
Yeah.
I thought Martinelli's first season was good. Wasn't that like 10 goals?
Yeah, and
then it was the season after that. He got a bit quieter, didn't he? I know that he was ill, injuries, and obviously, even though they may clear you that your COVID is gone, you don't know how a person still feels after that. You know, they might not still be, running around at 100%. But I think this could be his breakout season for Martinelli. But
and to be fair to Tony, I haven't talked to him about this, but in my notes I've written shades of Martinelli after Marquinhos' name, 19 years old, and we see maybe the shoots of something good there with Marquinhos.
I'm just glad to see him in the first team. It seemed like for a second he wasn't going to be in there. Played him in under 21s and 23s, then they quickly realized, oh, he's too good to be there. So now he's got Europa to sign. I want to see him in the Premier League. I think he's good enough to be in there for 30 minutes to give Xhaka some rest, or 25 minutes come on.
Yeah, I mean, that might come in the spring, but I don't think you'll see him in the Premier League too many times before the World Cup starts. For me, Mr. Tom said Eddie is Mr. Thursday night, and really, I thought Stan, the finish was really, really good from Marquinhos. Eddie plays that ball, it does take a nick off of a defender's leg, but it bounces up and Marquinhos meets it perfectly. The pace on the ball is controlled perfectly for him to guide it into the roof of the net.
Yeah, I'm also extremely pleased that I think Mikel Arteta has had a number of happy accidents happen to him since he's been the Arsenal manager. a few things that have just kind of like fallen into place and into his lap, and then that seemed to work. And maybe them not being able to get a loan for Marquinhos, because if you remember on a few shows ago, I was saying if this guy's got such good reviews for the under 21s and under 23s, and he's clearly above that level, remember I put the proposal forward that why don't we keep him until January? And if there is 60 million tucked away under the sofa that was supposed to go to Rafinha, can't we buy another striker? And then come January, if it hasn't worked out with Marquinhos, if he's not up to snuff, we could look at addressing another wide player. And I think that him not being able to get that loan, and obviously Pepe going out, there is a spot now for him. And I think it's fantastic that when he's had his opportunity to come in and he's grabbed it. I've seen it so many times when we've had a younger player come up and they get an opportunity, and then you just think to yourself, like, you've got to do more than that, man. This is what you've been waiting for. Yeah. You know, this is your opportunity to start giving the manager selection problems and start making a name for yourself. And they don't do it, but he has. So, you know, let's not go mad, you know, but I did like what I saw today, and it seems to stay with him for the whole game. If you know what I mean. It wasn't just like a flash and then he disappeared. He was quite tasty in the whole game. And you noticed it was only a couple of minutes after he scored the first goal that he started getting fouled.
Got a yellow card,
They started getting fouled by the men on the pitch who probably were like, I ain't letting this youngster show me up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was looking at the ages of it was number 6 and I think the 31. He beat number 6 for the goal because his pace was. I was expecting number 6 to be 31 or something. No, 28-year-old, and the other player with 31 was the right back was 25 years old. So, you know, you would think those players would be capable of staying with a 19-year-old Tony, but it shows maybe where he's at right now. Marquinhos is, and look, we have enough players in the first team to not get overhyped about Marquinhos. He can develop quietly and without us gassing him up too much. But this is as Stan said, noteworthy that he's come through into this first game in the Europa League, Tony.
Yeah, I started talking about him when I seen him in the preseason. Looked at his size. It's like, oh, he looks like he could easily fit in the Premier League. And here in Europa, he was just kind of flying past those people out, muscling them. Nice to see. And he was doing it on defense as well. He's dropping back a lot. He's a busy lad. Looked good. Good on both sides of a ball. Yeah. I'm glad he's made it into Europa. Hopefully he makes a Premier League break. I think he deserves some minutes there.
I mean, he's been on the bench, right? He has been on the bench. So
under 21s as well.
He's been on the bench on the first team, and I think now that he's had a very good debut, much in the same way that William Saliba had a good debut. And when I was talking about these happy accidents, William Saliba's another one. I fully believe that had the right back position not been affected and Ben White, you know, didn't go out there and could have played in the middle, then Saliba probably would have sat. I firmly believe that, but it was kind of
or not been here, one of the two.
So it's a happy accident.
Tony's still banging that drum. Arm would not have been here, one of those two. I take what you're saying, Stan. Football is a lot about luck, and you get your opportunity. You have to be good enough to take it. But you have to have a little bit of luck to get a chance as well sometimes.
I think Marquinhos has shown, though, that he could be now a player that can come on at maybe a 70-minute mark if we're comfortable in the game, 75-minute mark, to give Xhaka rest, you know, and hopefully we won't see a huge drop-off, a massive drop-off, you know what I mean? And by having that, it's then also competition for Xhaka. When he comes off and he sees that, he's thinking, man, I need to keep performing.
Yeah.
Because if I don't pick up the slack here, this guy's going to step in front of me. Because I honestly believe that, just moving a little bit away from Marquinhos, but it's the same sort of topic. I thought that our fullbacks, I thought we were supposed to know who our first choice fullbacks were. And I thought it was Tierney and Tomiyasu. But since Ben White's had shifts out there as a right back, and since Zinchenko's come in, I think it's kind of blurred it a little bit. And I'm not sure that Mikel Arteta knows now who his number one fullbacks are. And I think it worries me a little bit because I think you need to have consistency in your defence, whether it's a back three or a back four. You can't just keep changing it every couple of weeks just to keep people happy. There needs to be something solid there. And I'm worried that Mikel Arteta isn't sure because I'm not sure now. I mean, I'll ask you guys and I'll ask everyone in the chat box. You can write in the chat box, who is our number one right back and left back? I thought it was Tierney and Tomiyasu.
I think it's Tomiyasu and Zinchenko.
A lot of people seem to be veering to what Tony just said. Tomiyasu and Zinchenko.
So that's a mix, right? You have a traditional, maybe Tomiyasu is our best right back at the club right
I
now.
thought it was interesting today watching Tierney because he was doing that inverted role instead of going down the flank like he usually does.
That's something we're asking Kieran Tierney to do, is do that inverted role. Now he's going to try and he's going to take the coaching as best as possible, but he doesn't do it as naturally or as well as Zinchenko. And I think that mix of Tomiyasu on the right, who's going to be part of a three when we have possession, maybe, where Zinchenko can wander into midfield. And
we had a three a lot more today than we were Sunday versus United.
Well, actually, to answer Stan's question, I think it's a great thing that we have options. We have viable options now.
I like the back four, back three, whatever, like staying. I like it being set. I don't like tinkering with it.
You don't like sliding your left back out of the back four to have a three?
No, I think he means he doesn't mean constantly changing the lineup.
The lineup.
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm okay with it. There's going to be plenty of games till now until middle of or early November when things
I was
stop.
kind of surprised Gabriel started too. I figured it'd be White and Holding.
And so BX Gunner said Marquinhos' debut was better than Anthony. Don't at me, LOL. I like that comment, BX Gunner. But yeah, to answer your question a bit more, Stan, I think we don't have competition. We have options.
Who's your first choice left back, Ray? Zinchenko.
I would pick it, but if you give me a fixture, I'll tell you who my back.
That's not what he asked you, Ray.
I'm gonna pick it.
Let me phrase it another way, right? I'm gonna offer you one left back out of Zinchenko and Tierney, and you can only have one. Who are you gonna take? For me, it's Kieran Tierney.
It would be Kieran Tierney because if you're only asking me to pick one, it's Kieran Tierney because he's a better defender. I love Zinchenko and what he gives us moving the ball forward, but defensively, he's a little bit suspect, and you need Gabriel Magalhaes to be more solid. And we'll get into Gabriel Magalhaes from Sunday a little bit later as well. And
I don't know why we don't go with just a back three.
Sambi Lokonga maybe as well.
Yeah, but if when you look before the match starts and you go online to see the lineup and see who's playing. I looked at two. One had us set up in a 4-3-3. The other one had us set up with like three at the back with Marquinhos and Tierney as the kind of wing backs, and a front two of Martinelli and Nketiah. And I think that's because what you see there is that sometimes when we're off the ball, then Tierney will come back to make up that four.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And then where he slides out, Martinelli slides into his place to come back.
It did that
to
too.
The left.
On the first game of the season, it spit that formation out too.
Yeah. So it's very fluid, right? It doesn't seem to be that we play in, not like in the old days where it was 4-4-2. And you man marked, your man, and you're very rigid in your position. It seems to be very different now that the way the game is sort of changing.
So, Mr. Tom said, there will come a day where Saliba leaves Arsenal. I will be straight to Tony for his reaction.
Tony be like, see, I told you.
Could be 8 years from now.
Yeah, it'll still be like, see, I told you. Told you he's going to leave.
Tony, in 8 years from now, you can be like, see, I told you. I knew Marseille would come back for him. Stephen said, White cannot be our number one right back. He is needed in center back rotation. Also, his last two outings at right back were not that good.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we'll get into that Old Trafford thing because we're going to have a little bit of good chat and then a little bit of bad chat a little bit later. House of the Dragon episode 3 was quite excellent. Just saying, says Mr. Tom. Hey,
That's my
no,
least favorite of the 3 episodes.
That's the one with Doctor Who, isn't it? That's quite good. Quite like that.
right, so Stan, quite rightly, Marquinhos, great
Yeah.
contact for the first goal, 1-0 up. He was creating havoc. He drew a yellow card right after it. I didn't think he was favored to get to the ball. That ball, he took it away from the defender and was taken down. And the 20th minute, Teabag is through on goal. He lifts the ball over the goalkeeper.
Yeah, tries to chip the keeper. I also
Wilson-
noticed around about this time as well. I noticed that Megalegs, he's playing in midfield a lot. You know, he was really occupying a lot of his time in the midfield.
And doing a
Yeah,
lot of
and
long passes
He
too.
does get forward a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
that's
He
another
scores a lot
player.
of goals. He scores a lot of goals, and that's really valuable. Or is it there some sort of record that he's got for? Is it the most goals in the league or in a season
back.
for in the Premier League for a defender, or is it the most goals or some shit like that? I mean, that's a valuable
Yeah,
he
it's
scored
5.
the most goals last season. He's the most goals for a
valuable
centre-back
trait.
last
Valuable
season.
trait. But I mean, I noticed there's like he's in the midfield a lot. But
BX
Holding was back there by himself.
it works.
It was a weird formation today.
BX Gunner said Zinchenko looked injured against United. I hope he's fit, and he was one of the players who came on tonight as well. I think what we're doing is like giving more players more minutes, and we're limiting the minutes of some of our players because of the 5 sub rule as well. Mr. Tom said even if he gets a coaching role and leaves in 15, 20 years, Tony will have correctly. He's always right in the end. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah,
Mr. Tom.
it's a game of attrition.
Tony plays the long game. He lays in the long grass and waits.
Scorched earth.
Yeah. Last defender scoring like him was Vermaelen. Yeah. Yeah, so listen, we go through the first half, 42 minutes, Eddie Nketiah. It's kind of a forwards challenge, Tony.
It was clumsy.
Yeah,
hold on a minute. There's a few things before that, right? Because I don't know. I think Xhaka, he had didn't Teabag put him through and he headed wide or something?
Yeah.
Xhaka headed wide. And I don't know if you noticed, right? Xhaka's getting himself into a lot of good scoring because of
this was the second half, right?
No, this
first
game
half.
he didn't
First half, about 24 minutes or so. Because because he's playing in a different position now. Thank you very much, Rhino. I thought I'd make an effort for Her Majesty passing. But he's playing in such a different position now. He's getting himself into a lot more scoring positions. I mean, he scored a goal. He's hit the post a couple of times. He's heading wide. I mean, okay, you want someone who's got maybe better finishing. But I think you may see, if it continues like this, I think you'll be seeing more goals coming from Granit Xhaka this season than you would have in usually. And I'd prefer that. I'd rather him up the other end trying to score goals and maybe fluffing it up than further back down the field trying to do running bulldogs on the opposition and
Yeah.
As long as he's not like Sunday where he's confused to go forward or stay back. He had a bad game Sunday.
He has definitely improved his game, moving further forward. Some would say, as Gary would say,
we were around about 25 minutes. We were controlling that game. We were pinging the ball around, nice crisp passing. We were keeping the ball for really long spells, and I thought, and there's that 35 minutes, T-Bug gets fouled, and then do you remember?
You have to explain yourself to why not.
And then, oh wait, why are people? Right, why not? I don't know if you've ever watched Prison Break, right? But there was a character on there, right, called Teabag, Theodore Bagwell. Google him. He's a spit, man. And when I was writing notes earlier for Bergkamp Wonderland, it was too long to write Fabio Vieira all the time, so I just kept writing Teabag, and now it's stuck. So
easier. Teabag is an awful nickname, and it's sticking. I think you like it as well. Why not?
He's been christened, man. It's there. But did you notice that just after Teabag got fouled, all of a sudden their goalkeeper, he went and got his secret special gloves on? Did you notice that? It was like, now it's the time. And he had these little secret goalkeeping gloves that he put on. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? Electricity going to come out at the end of the fingers or something? But no.
Why not liking the comparison?
He wasn't a very, he
wasn't a very nice person, but
I
think Fabio might be nicer.
He's one of the best characters in the series.
He wasn't a very savoury gentleman. You know what I mean? His penchant for like having his pocket line hanging out to attract men in prison, notwithstanding. But he was a great character. Great character. One of the best characters. Yeah, he made it worth watching. Great accent.
Is there
went on to get a lot of other roles.
Is there anything else that happened coming up to the Eddie and Nketiah challenge for the penalty that you're gonna pull me up on?
No, it was after the goalkeeper put on his secret special gloves that Eddie gave away the penalty.
Yeah,
and that's when all hell broke loose in my world.
This is like Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes could never tackle, right? Apparently. That's a forwards tackle. Well, Eddie did the same thing, and
it's not the first time he's done that either, though.
The penalty, Tony, is dispatched quite easily, and Matt Turner never had a chance.
He doesn't look very secure back there. Lucky he wasn't under more pressure.
He looks like he's never done it before.
I know he looks. Total
novice. I have a note here in the 6th minute. Going back to the 6th minute, I'm calling him.
Now you're holding it up, right?
I'm going to call him Matt Turnover, Stan.
Matt Turnover.
That pass.
He turns over the ball, trying to pass out from the back. So Matt
but
Turnover,
is that his fault, or as I've mentioned a few times on this broadcast, our defense sometimes put our goalkeepers under undue pressure when it's not needed.
It was a bad
pass. Just do the damn long kick. It's not hard.
Gabriel Megalegs had a bad back pass, and I'm claiming turnover. I'm claiming Matt Turnover. Okay, so there you go.
Matt Turner.
If you think you can give nicknames out, I can do the same thing, Stan.
Join in, man.
Hey, Des. Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hope
Des.
you're good. Teabag character was also in an episode of the short-lived show Breakout Kings. All right, so we go in 1-1 at halftime. Tony, what were your thoughts at halftime? We let them back into the game. We should have been winning 4-0, right? That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, but we weren't really threatening the goal that much. We ended up having 8 on target. 5 of them were directly to the keeper.
Right.
The other two were the ones that the goals, and the one that Jesus kicked off a goalkeeper's leg were the only actual real threatening shots of the whole game. We weren't really threatening.
So, Tony, quick question. I'm sort of an eye test person. I'll watch the game and I'll get a feel for the game through watching it. Do you directly go to the stats and look at shots and goals and all that stuff at halftime? Just curious.
I look at it at halftime, but I don't judge anything. Like I said, if you would look at the 70% possession, all our shots on goals and stuff, you'd think we played a lot better than we did. But even though we had total control of the ball, they still almost nicked the point tonight. They're that close to it.
Yeah. The Revanite is here. The tables have turned a little bit, maybe, Revanite, and you're still here. We do appreciate that. Good evening, guys. Still here, right?
I don't think I've seen the Revanite around for a while.
Yeah, he's
Has he been in recently? Has he been in recently? I don't think I ain't seen him around for a while, I'm sure.
Been a few months. But
welcome anyway, Revanite. Glad you decided to swing by.
Hasn't been that long.
Well, that he's here when Liverpool are losing. Don't worry, we're going to take your banter club down. Take your banter club crown. Wow. Yeah, I mean, there is some stirrings in Liverpool, and it's not all good stirrings as well. Stan, do you go to the stats or do you do the old eye test at halftime?
A little bit of both. Actually, at half time, I don't look at stats. Not at half time, no. I usually see stats
End of the game.
at some part, afterwards. But this one was, this one, it's like, there's a fucking Eddie gives away a penalty. It's half time, so I pick up my phone just to see what the mood is. Do you know what I mean? And the first thing I see is this like picture of Queen Elizabeth II, and I'm like, that's a bit odd. And I see another one, then another one, and that's when it all went mad,
Yeah.
and then it was a bit, and then I kind of like didn't really see much of the second half. I saw it in bits and pieces because the next note I actually wrote down was on the 60th minute. So I'll leave it to you two to kind of fill me in. But what I would say is though, up until that point, I actually felt that the first half, personally for me, I felt that we were in control of the game in the first half. I thought that our passing was really good. I thought that I was much happier and felt safer than I did before the kickoff, because I've always worried that if you take a couple of our second string and put them in the first team, we get away with it. But when there's a load of them all playing together, they ain't so good. So I thought the blend was good today. There was a good blend.
The mix.
Do you know what I mean? Of second string, first string, a really good blend, right?
Look, I'll give I think John Revenite, I'll give you a compliment here. Jurgen Klopp has been very good at being able to mix his squad up and get results in previous seasons from his team. Mikel Arteta's got to learn, and I think from this lineup.
Because I was worried he was going to go too far the other way. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like,
I didn't figure he'd feel too weak of a team.
A good blend, I felt.
It was a good blend. You've got half the team's first team players, and the other half are either young players or they're making their debuts and starting out this season. Liverpool stresses me out enough as it is at the moment, right? Listen, it's tough times at Liverpool, and I haven't seen the highlights or the game, but I did see Trent walking around like he was on drugs or something, you know what I mean?
I can go another 30 years without winning anything.
The cycle. We want to be on the way up, and if Liverpool is there and we are fighting with them, well and good. But if you're cycling down, that's football and swings and roundabouts, as they say. Mr. Tom said, I do think people need to be careful of reactionary takes. I see it all the time when the Leeds player bangs in goals for the 18s, the 21s. Why not said, remember the Arsenal standard, as says Arteta and me, the perfect match, not only the result, but the performance too. We was effing lucky, guys. Des the Enforcer asks, Tony, do you guys think Fabio played? How do you guys think Fabio played? I thought he had a very, very good game.
I thought he was so. I thought Odegaard looked better when he came on, by far. I thought he kind of just blended into his side. I didn't think.
Here's the thing about the Revenite. Trent walking around like he doesn't need to try. Don't remind me, right? I think sometimes some players think.
Hey, Ray, this is an Arsenal podcast.
They can take a night. This applies to Arsenal, Tony. I think some players think that they can take the night off and the other 10 will pick them up. And Arsenal, it applies to Arsenal too. You all have to be at it. Milner and Gomez gifted the game. Let's get to the 60th minute now, Stan. Very average and lightweight. I thought Fabio played quite well. Des was asking Stan. Teabag.
Yeah.
See, I switched real quick there. See that? I thought Fabio. I have to call him Teabag, Des. Sorry, we won't answer your question. It's easier.
Please rewrite your question, Des, and put the aforementioned moniker in, please.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about Matt Turnover, that's his name now, Matt Turnover. The 60th minute, Stan. Marquinhos on the right hand side puts a nice cross in. This one was for Granit Xhaka. Xhaka tried to get to it.
Doesn't matter, does it, really? Because I thought Eddie was in the right place at the right time at the back post to head in.
Yeah, but a minute before, there was a cross in for Granit Xhaka, the exact same.
That's right, yeah. It was, yeah, and it came out and then it went back into the mixer, as they say.
So they must have seen something. This is something they must have game planned against for Zurich on the back post. And Eddie gets himself in position. This reminded me of Everton away last season when Eddie actually missed a gimme. It was a very similar type of header. And Eddie's put it away this time.
Yeah, because up until this point, he's had 5 appearances, and they haven't been just like 5 minutes here and that. Some of them have been some periods of time,
30 minutes, yeah,
35 minutes in one game. So
Mhm.
I'm pleased for him because I want him to do well, but I'm going to scrutinise him. I'm going to scrutinise him when he
I
doesn't play
sent
well.
you
But
I sent you a checklist. Sorry, Stan. I sent you a checklist. I was like, Nketiah must score,
yeah, that's right.
and he checked that. He ticked that box, right?
He got an assist as well.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, in the cold light of day, you're looking at a 2-1 win, and Eddie's been involved in both of the goals. It's not a bad
It
night.
gives me more confidence now looking ahead at other games in this competition. That it wasn't a case of, do you know what I mean? 75 minutes, he's not done anything, as in production wise, as in goals or assists, and then we have to play Gabriel Jesus and fall back on him. It's good that he can come in and he can take up slack. That's what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to play for 75 minutes and then we have to fall back to my main guy because he's not been able to provide it.
So my take on that is that we don't want. I guess Arteta doesn't want any of our strikers playing 95 minutes.
Say
So
again?
I don't think Arteta wants our strikers to play any one single game for 90 minutes. So if Jesus starts, it's going to be 70 minutes and Eddie gets 20. And if it's in the Europa League, it's going to be reversed, right? Eddie
Well,
gets
we're light in that area, so
yeah. Don't
there
you
is
think
no.
don't you think it's a good strategy then just to keep playing them 70-20,
Yeah, and sometimes we've actually seen them playing together as well.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
doesn't look convoluted when sometimes you can do that, and then all of a sudden it looks a little bit convoluted, and people are in each other's way. And I would say there's a little bit of that going on with Martinelli and Tierney in the side at the minute. They look a little bit like they're in each other's way sometimes.
yeah. Martinelli had a good game tonight as well.
Yes.
Nerdscape is here. What
Right,
is up,
Netscape.
Nerdscape? We're framing this 3 points. We're on the board. 3 points on the board, very important in the Europa League, especially as we said earlier, if you want to get to the final stages. Winning this group is so important because if you come second, you're going to face a third place team in the Champions League.
Oh, hold on a minute. Here's a question from Des the Enforcer. He says, Stan, how did Teabag play for you tonight, mate? I said it a little bit earlier, Des. I was really pleased with what I saw from him. And I know it's early days, but I think the key differences between what he brings in that position, which is different to Odegaard, is I think I the ball longer and likes to travel with the ball a little bit more and keep the ball. Whereas Teabag's he's not worried about having a shot. He tried to chip the keeper earlier. He had another shot, and I like to see that. It's good that we have a little bit of variety in that role, and that we don't have two players that are same.
PSV drawing also helped tonight. Definitely does. We have control of the group early on, and we play PSV next Thursday, and we could really take a really firm grip on this group if we beat PSV Eindhoven at home next Thursday, Stan.
Yeah. And to answer this question from Mr. Tom, he says he has a question. Notwithstanding the score tonight, are you concerned that the opposition is the, in brackets, perceived weakest team of the teams in the group? So it will get tougher for the younglings. I thought that, what's that team from Norway? Bodo
Glimt.
I thought, because I never even heard of them.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they were the weakest team. But to answer that question, Mr. Tom, like I said a little bit earlier, there was, if you saw the team that we put out today, it was a good blend. It wasn't just a second string. And I think that is what you're going to continue to see. Maybe in some games, it may be a case where there's still a blend, but it might be a little bit different. Whereas maybe Gabriel Jesus will be starting the game.
I actually like it because 2 seasons ago, Stan, if you remember, we played a lot of young players in the Europa League, and we almost had two different teams between the league and the Europa League. And maybe Arteta's found the flow and the unity within the team is a lot better if you start blending the mix. Okay, it's like a smoothie or something. You're not putting so much strength into this one. It's like a drink. You're not putting so much alcohol into it into this one on Thursday night, and on Sunday you're putting a lot more alcohol into it, so you got a little bit more kick.
You see, I used to think that under Daddy Wenger's reign, he was sometimes a little bit too rigid. Like he would say to a player before the season starts, right, you're going to play in goal for every single game in that competition, and sometimes, you can't do that because if a player comes out of form or he lets you down and you're getting to the sharp edge of a competition, and maybe that competition is going to be your only outlet for any glory at the end of the season, you might have to change tact. You may have to say, okay, I'm going to have to bring in some of the bigger guns in this competition because this is all we've got left. And the ones that I've put in, they're looking really shaky. And I
Yeah.
think Mikel Arteta isn't that regimented, that he will mix and match depending on, where we are in the competition and what's going on around him, rather than just making promises and sticking to it come hell or high water.
Do you think, Stan, to Stephen's comment here, the Arsenal misfit, we may have controlled things, but a 2-1 win against the ninth place team in the Swiss League is underwhelming, as I stated earlier. Do you think
And this
here's
team was weaker, right? This was a weaker team that won. I think however they did in their league last year, this is a weaker team. I think they lost their key striker.
they've lost players, definitely.
Yeah,
Looking at us, we've given some debuts to some players: Marquinhos, Turner, um, Fabio T-Bag. They've started for the first time uh, in our team. We have Lokonga, who's really trying to, really establish himself in that role, and we'll
how do
talk
you
about
think he did today?
I thought Sambi had a good game, but listen, we I don't worry about Sambi when we're playing any team from the eighth place down in the Premier League, let's say, and this is definitely Premier lower reaches of Premier League standards. FC
Right.
Zurich is, but we go away from home to a Newcastle, to Anfield, to the Etihad, to White Hart Lane. I'm going to worry about Sambi Lokonga as the sole single pivot in our team, and I
Yeah.
thought I don't know if you saw my video earlier. I put out a full circle video where I thought Lokonga got forced to the left hand side in that Manchester United game, and he forced the ball down the line, and that was for me that was the start of what went wrong at Old Trafford in that second goal. But we'll get to that very soon. So what do you think about the construction of our team? Can you 2-1 is underwhelming. I'll say that right off the bat, Stan. But can you make some case for our team and how some players are coming back from fitness? They might need it. Some had debuts, or should we have won more than 2-1?
I don't know if you can say it's underwhelming because a win is a win, right? We went 1-0 ahead. Yet again, we got ourselves into a position where we allowed the team back in, and we managed to find the answer to that problem. Whereas a couple of seasons ago, that could have been the end of it. We could have gone on the end of getting a hiding then because we would have just like curled up into a ball because they've equalised. So it's progress. You look at teams like Man United in their heyday, they didn't win every single game 4-5-0. Sometimes you have a bit of an ugly game,
Yeah.
but you do what's needed and you scratch it out to get the win. Or because a team might be ninth, there may be days when some of those players are playing above their level. It happens. They might have a good day and they're playing a little bit more. The defenders have managed to get into tackles which they might not have, used to because they've got
And
their tails up.
I think it's about managing your
But
squad and
why not's right. We waste too many chances. We're creating a lot of chances, but we're wasting too many, and that needs to be addressed.
yeah, definitely. Mr. Tom said Bodo beat Roma 6-1 last season and made the quarters of the Conference League.
Exactly.
To be fair to them,
Exactly.
we definitely should have scored more of the team. was shaky, but ultimately got it done. I think that's the thing when you're going in between now Premier League games. You do what you need to do to get wins in these competitions. Gabriel is up and down at the moment. We don't know which Gabriel it is, but I think you're talking about Mega Legs. I said that there's about Gabriel. People called me mad. I didn't think Gabriel Magalhaes needed to play tonight, Stan.
I think he's Arteta's favourite in the defence.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I think, if you have captains of areas, he's the captain of the defence sort of area.
Yeah. And look, you brought me nicely to that. A captain of an area, Granit Xhaka, made captain. He's part of that leadership group. If Erdegaard's not going to start, then it's Granit Xhaka gets that captain's band, right?
Yeah, it is what it is.
We've gone over that ground, but as long as Granit Xhaka keeps his nose clean, that's important, right, Stan? He doesn't get enough yellows and red cards. He doesn't have that red mist that's going to hurt us.
And as I said earlier, he's managing to get himself into some good scoring positions now. Which, at the end of the day, it's all about goals, right? More goals you have, the more chance you have of winning and getting all 3 points.
Wasteful with chances, says why not?
We are. We're creating so many chances as well. And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest bit.
Yeah.
I said it before. I mean, it was just a couple of games back. I can't remember who dinked the ball, but the ball was dinked out from the back. It kind of cleared the whole of the midfield. Eddie timed his run to perfection, plucked the ball out of the sky. And I was thinking, like, that's got to be, this is the hardest bit. This is where he's going to try and get the ball down and he's going to fucking do a Bambi on ice. Do you know what I mean? Or like a newborn giraffe and get his legs tangled. But he plucked it out of the air majestically, kept control of it, ran into the box, one-on-one of the keeper. And then, just like on Family Fortunes, it was, and you're like, oh, man, you've done the hardest bit.
I like that.
You've done the hardest bit there, lad. So, as I say before, we see him in the training videos all week long, scoring goals scoring them tiny little goals every time. And then it comes to the match and the fucking goals are massive and they can't tuck it away.
As Des says, how has Xhaka become the perfect player this season? I think he's probably seen we're going up a level, we're improving our team, so he needs to step up to another level.
Do you know what worries me about Xhaka?
He's helped by a strong left side.
True, yeah. That was the left side that wasn't working last season in the springtime. Stan?
What worries me the most about Xhaka, and I'm going to say that I'll probably be a culprit, is that at some point he's going to get a card or do something. And when I say that is because it happens to most players, especially in defensive midfield, right?
Yeah.
And the way that he plays. Too. And he's got previous. So my worry is that when it happens, what's the reaction going to be like? Are we going to be able to remember some of the recent good games and look at the incident and give it judgment for whatever it is? Or is it just going to be, I fucking told you, I've been with this, I knew it was going to, which is, depending on how it affects the game, I could see myself doing that. And I'm being honest, because I've had
always a liability.
Because I've had beefs against him, right? Because I've had beefs against him and he's let us down.
And
so,
listen, it depends on what happens. If it's something as stupid like Anfield again, karate kicking Jota and getting sent off.
I just see him doing that. And it's like, I want Zinchenko playing that role. Or even Smith Rowe. It doesn't matter.
Steven said, I think they were well drilled in what we were going to do. We rarely do anything that will surprise our opponents and force them to change what they're doing. Exactly. I mean,
we just weren't clinical.
We had chances. Exactly. Martinelli missed a header in the early minutes.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I missed that.
Yeah, it was a header from Granit Xhaka placed right on Martinelli.
Did we talk about how great Marquinhos' cross was?
Yeah, you missed it. We're past all that.
I was just asking if we talked about it.
Go ahead, Tony. Tell us about it. Was a great cross. It reminded me of Saka's cross against Benfica for Aubameyang.
It was a perfect cross and just perfect weight on it. Still kind of hard for Eddie just because of the pace and just narrow little margin he had to get it past the goalkeeper. But
this
to me, it was all
a
about
header.
the cross.
This header reminded me of the Everton away game that Eddie missed that header, Tony, and he put it away this time
Yeah.
in exactly the same position. Um, couple other things to talk about then, Tony. But let's get into the Tony Don one man in the match. Um, I'm going to go ahead and say Marquinhos.
Yeah, I think we can cut this one short.
We'll give it to the kid. Playing on his debut.
Well, we're not sure if he's a kid.
He's 19.
I it happens all the time in Brazil, like it does in China, where you don't know if they're that age or not.
Listen, we're older than him, Tony. Comfortably older than him, so we can call him kid. Okay.
Yeah,
ESR.
he just looks 23, 24. He doesn't look like a
That said,
19-year-old.
ESR could be out for a while. I think Marquinhos is good competition for Saka. Definitely does. We just have to tell Mikel Arteta you can't play Saka as much. I don't think we got as much production, Tony, from Marquinhos tonight as we would have from Saka playing as well.
I thought for a little bit of time that Saka was out there, I thought Marquinhos looked a lot better there.
And look, the substitutions with the players coming on, I thought it was about just giving them a run out. Zinchenko coming on, Kieran Tierney off, Erdegaard coming on for Teabag, Saka coming on for Marquinhos, and Jesus coming on for Nketiah. Just giving them some minutes in their legs to be ready for Everton, even if that game will go ahead at the weekend. We don't know anything about
I'm sure they will. I don't see him, but I don't see him putting everything on hold for 2 weeks. That just.
I mean,
when are you to fit it in? When are you to fit it in or make it up? Is the problem with the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, one thing to talk about since Matt Turner did play in this game, and the whole Bernd Leno controversy, Tony. The comments from Bernd Leno about Arsenal being political, and he knew he had to get out of there when it went that way. That's his comments. I don't actually agree with him myself.
I think it's probably likely true. I think there definitely clicks, and Arteta likes certain players. I think it's obvious. He has pets. And there are these players he doesn't have because Pepe had enough talent to be coming on for minutes, taking them from Saka last season.
So Tony, he's talking about it being political, right? This is in relation to Matt Turner, right? Can we all agree on that? Bernd Leno's comments.
No.
No? You don't think it's in relation to Matt Turner?
What do you think, Tony?
No. I think it's related to Ramsdale. I think he thinks he's a better shot stopper.
How would that be political? Because he's English?
Yeah.
I mentioned the war, for fuck's sake.
But it's political because Arteta has his pets. You see how the facts don't lie. He's the worst shot stopper in the league.
I thought you meant political, as in, we've got American owners.
American owner, yeah.
They want to have Americans, in the team. A little bit like when we used to have, players like, Rishi Mayaki and all them, do you know what I mean? For marketing and those purposes. Austin Trust, I thought he was saying something like that. But you feel it's more towards Ramsdale, Tony. That's interesting because I never considered that.
And being English, right?
Yep.
Now, I did say
still sore, isn't he, from what happened in the 40s? I mean,
we always seem to have salty goalkeepers.
For me, I'll tell you what I think about it quickly. For me, for a bloke that never had much to say for himself when he was at Arsenal, he fucking can't keep his mouth shut now that he's left. I mean, he was basically a mute, wasn't he, in the box?
Yeah.
That's what
that was his problem.
A mute.
Now he can't fucking great shot stopper. Just wouldn't talk.
We lost the second goal to Brentford because of his inability to control the box, inability to be a presence in the box. And we beat Fulham. We beat Fulham 2-1 with Gabriel Megalegs scoring that goal because he wasn't commanding enough in his own box. And I think Bernd Leno, I don't think it was a political situation. I think it was a
strange word to use, isn't it? Political.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was going the same way as you, Stan, in terms of the American owner, Stan Kroenke. But
No.
Tony, I can definitely get on board with what you're saying as well.
But he want to say he wanted out of there because of Turner is because of Rims. He knew he wasn't to have any first team minutes. So, I mean, I don't think he's afraid of Turner taking minutes from him if he stayed.
Well, look, here's the deal. He did perform pretty well against Chelsea last season. He saved from Lukaku a great save. But at the end of the day, we lost 2-0 to Chelsea. We lost 2-0 to Brentford, and we lost 5-0 to Manchester City. And Mikel Arteta brought about 4 players into the team for the
Yeah,
nod.
but the same should have been true in the later part of the season. Ramsdale was letting goals in left and right.
Sounds like a case of sour grapes to me.
Yeah, I think so too as well.
I think he has a case probably.
Sorry, BX going to say that. Sorry,
can I just talk about this a little bit more, because there was no way that we were going to spend the sort of money that we did on Ramsdale, which was basically almost the same figure that we spent on our existing first goalkeeper. Yeah. So there's no way that they're going to keep the both of them. Just forever to keep fighting it out. Because Bernd Leno is not a second place goalkeeper, and I was a big fan of Bernd Leno's. It was only a couple of seasons back when you could have put a cigarette paper between who was our best player of the season, between Bernd Leno and Aubameyang. They were both helping us at both ends of the pitch, saving points.
If there was a further injury, I think he would have.
And I was a really big fan of him, and I thought as well, for the money that we spent and got him, I thought that was a really good deal. I thought it was one of our better signings for what we paid, especially when you look at around about that time, Chelsea went out. Bless you, Tony. Chelsea went out and spent 70-odd million on that Kepa, right? Yeah. And you see how that ended up. And I was thinking, fucking hell, this is a steal. But I don't think there was ever any way that we could bring in, or we are big enough. We're not at the level yet where we could bring in a Ramsdale and keep Leno. And say, okay, we're keeping the both of you to battle it out. Leno, I don't think Leno was up for the fight.
Yep.
And it was a little bit of the case that as soon as we bought Ramsdale, he kind of just went straight into the team, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, well, that was on the back of losing 5-0, 2-0.
Yes, it was. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. And then when we brought Leno back in, do you remember when Ramsdale was ill towards the end of the season and Leno came in for that game, and you saw the love he was still getting?
Yeah.
And again, and you saw that the level didn't drop off either, because he's a good goalkeeper. And Fulham, we've helped him. We've facilitated him with a move in the same city. You know what I mean? We didn't put our foot down and fuck him off to Newcastle. You don't want to go to Newcastle? All right. You and your new missus want to stay in London, and we'll work it out. Yeah. And we fucking sold him for fucking pennies.
Yeah, but that's got to stop now. No more windows for doing that.
So he should be grateful.
Yeah, and look, he wanted to leave. He saw his chance at Arsenal was gone. Ramsdale came in, started playing well on the back of Arsenal losing the first 3 games. And he wanted to play in the World Cup, Tony. And, this World Cup is just ruining a lot of things, right? It's going to start this season as well. But also players, the motivations for
might save our season.
It might save our season. Who knows? We have a little quick sprint now. We 6 games in. We've got another 16. There you go. 10 games. Another 10 league games.
I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling that whatever games may have been scheduled over the next 10 days, they might be cancelled, right? Because I think that there's going to be a period of mourning in the UK, lying in state, and that kind of thing. And I think that although they don't mind people going to work every day, because you've got to keep the money coming in, they don't really want everyone going out and enjoying themselves and football. And I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling that there'll be some games that games will be cancelled here and there. Maybe this weekend.
Should we talk about the games a little bit later anyway, just for shits and giggles, or not?
Whatever.
Just talk generally. We're definitely going to talk about Tommy Tickle and Harry Potter.
And if there is and just talking about if there are games that are going to maybe be cancelled this weekend, maybe that helps us. Maybe that helps us in such as that somebody like Thomas Partey will, because it sounds like he's coming back and doing training.
Yeah.
Maybe that would help somebody like him because we are missing him.
Yeah. Ravenite said, I know why Leno's complaining from his point of view, but you guys were right to do what you did. Leno has a lot of faults in his game.
He don't have a lot of faults. He just has not being vocal.
Well, the faults in his game are targetable. You know what I mean? If you get a set piece, you can put a ball in there. You know, Bernd Leno is going to be a little bit fallible from set pieces. We beat Fulham that way. You know,
I tell you what, I think the problem is with Bernd Leno and also Emi Martinez, and I understand why people were a lot, at the time didn't want Martinez to leave, because when you've got a goalkeeper that is being worked a lot in a game, and they're making a lot of saves, they can look really better than what they are. The sign for me of a good goalkeeper is a goalkeeper that can be stood in his goal for like 75 minutes and not have to do hardly anything because his defense in front of him is keeping it out. But then when that one chance comes from the opposition, they are switched on enough to make the save. If you're constantly making saves from the get-go, you're wired, mate. You're fucking, Peter Shilton.
you're working. Yeah,
Exactly. But if you're playing in a top team, you got to just make sure that you're switched on for when you're needed. And I'm not sure if Leno and perhaps even Martinez had that about them.
Yeah. And Martinez being kind of annoying going to Aston Villa and having us live rent-free in his head ever since then.
For over 2 seasons now.
Because you have to think that during that period where he came in and around then, we were very fallible at the back, and he looked so good because he was pulling off a lot of saves.
I think he was better than Bernd Leno. I'm going to say that, and people say it was such a small sample size, but it led up to winning.
Let's not open up that wound.
No.
How long was he have a club, Ray?
Tony just wants to go there.
How long was he have a club?
10 years, right?
Yes.
See, from you telling me so much, I've got it right in here because you tell me.
How much was he? How much
Tony
was he
gets me
worth?
numbers every
How
week.
much was he worth before Leno got hurt? How much was he worth?
Aha! Look at this. Ravenite agrees with me.
That doesn't make you right?
And the Ravenite also thinks games are cancelled from what he's heard.
I would imagine that's going to be the protocol.
Leeds
this is a big but this is a big deal, man. I don't want to bring everyone down, but this is a big deal. I mean, I remember seeing footage and stuff of the Queen's father and that when he passed away, and the pomp and circumstance and all of that. Do you know what I mean? And this is this is far bigger. I mean, she was the longest reigning monarch in our history, in United Kingdom's history. So there's going to be a lot of pomp and circumstance, if that's the right sort of phrase for this for this funeral.
The Ravenite say Bernd Leno doesn't catch balls from corners, not focal enough, not great passing out from the back. They're huge faults, Tony.
He's fucking vocal now, though, isn't he? Why is it full of?
Leeds can beat Man United, just don't let them counterattack, Mr. Tom. I agree with Ray. Another one, or maybe the same one. Just keep showing it. I'll just keep
just keep putting it up there.
I'll just keep showing
every other comment.
Makes me another comment agrees with Ray. Martinez's ball distribution was crap. Martinez was better than Leno. Stan, have we anything else before we move on from this goalkeeper conversation?
No, that's it really. I was just interested in,
I
was just really interested what Tony said about his his take on the political, because I hadn't even considered that. But Tony,
strangely enough, he made some sense on that, right?
Yeah,
Yes. As I say, strangely enough, Tony.
If I'd lost 2 world wars, I'd be sorry.
Well, listen. Speaking about Tony, Stan, you wanted to talk about Tony. You wanted a segment to speak on.
Yes, and I forgot to mention this last week. So as you all know, we've been trying to raise a lot of awareness for Tony to get his new leg. And I know that a lot of people that come in here and a lot of people beyond this podcast have done quite a lot to, put their hand in their pocket and give to the fund. And while we've all given very generously, unfortunately, we're still quite a long way off from reaching the
Yeah.
target and getting Tony mobile. So I was kind of brainstorming with Ray and sort of having a little bit of think of what else out there could we do to try and help Tony get to his target. So I spent some time trying to find a contact over at Arsenal. And the only thing that I could really find is an online sort of form that you fill out that goes to I think it's the public relations department, if I'm right. So I sent them a letter, basically just giving them telling them, about what's happened with Tony, telling them a little bit about our community, but also about what we've also done to try and get Tony a new leg. What I didn't do is I never asked Arsenal, I didn't go to them cap in hand and say, right, get your fucking wallets out and sign a check. Do you know what I mean? What I've asked them for was to help us with awareness. Yeah. So I basically said, look, there is a story here, and it's a good story because at the end of the day, Tony's been through quite a lot, but he's here every week. He's got a smile on his face. I mean, if it was me, mate, I'm telling you, I don't know what I'll be up to. But he even has little jokes and stuff like that. And I've told him that there's a good story here. We've got a good community. And what I've asked them for is if they could perhaps do a small editorial piece on one of their match day programs to help raise awareness of Tony's plight and put his GoFundMe there. So I've done that a couple of weeks ago. And I've not heard anything back yet. Who knows if we will, but I just wanted to let all you guys know that we are still trying to find ways, to get Tony his leg, because, it's from what I can see, we've kind of hit a wall, and we've all, given quite generously. And I thank everybody who has given towards the cause. And if anybody else has any ideas, DM me and let me know. And I'm happy to work with anybody if we can think of any ideas to get this fund to its goal.
Yeah. Listen, it's been over a year now. Tony still needs the leg. He's got 2 dogs running around, and we're running circles around them right now, and he needs to be able to keep up with them as well. So let's do something. Let's spread the word and tag. Maybe do one of those chain Twitter things. Tag 4 other people, raise the awareness. Listen, don't have a cup of coffee. Put it into Tony's fund and feel good about doing something for a fellow Gooner as well. And Tony is realistic about Arsenal. He tells it how he sees it, but there's no denying that he loves Arsenal. He knows all of the fees that we could have gotten for players down through the years.
I think if we can somehow, it's about raising awareness outside of our little bubble that we have here, on the Arsenal fan circle. Also places like, Ryan over on the Mr. Arsenal podcast, who really helped us out by doing that 24-hour podathon. People like Mike, Tanner, there's a lot of people, which I call this kind of North American Arsenal bubble that we have, but we kind of hit a wall. So it's about raising awareness. So if anyone's got any ideas of how we can get the reach out to more Gooners that aren't in our circle, let me know. So it's always important to click the like button and share the podcast as well, right? So we can get more people coming into the chat box. They find out about Tony's situation, and maybe they'll, instead of having a couple of pints, they'll put it into the fund.
Yeah, and listen, what I'll try and do is maybe clip this up as well and put it out there and get a chain going of people. Tag more and more people, get the awareness out there.
Actually, why did we not think? Yeah, Tony. We should have thought Mr. Tom comes in and says,
Tony, yeah,
start an OnlyFans. Exactly.
Tom, that was my idea. Tom, it was my idea. You just stealing my idea and repackaging it. Shame on you, Mr. Tom.
Mate, if you start an OnlyFans, you'll probably be able to get a fucking leg that's diamond encrusted, because the birds make a lot of money on there apparently. So you're laughing. You can put that flamethrower into it that you've always wanted to do.
Just get yourself a little bit of lippy, Tony, and a little bit of blush, and get yourself a wig. Who knows? There's a market out there for everything.
There's a market out there.
3 months of Turner and Runnerson. Fucking shambles says, why not? Yeah. Rudderson, I think he might have found himself a club for now. I was thinking, like Tony, on what Leno was thinking as well. might just be lost in translation. Maybe didn't mean political and just more favorites. Yeah, but it's a dangerous word to use, political. You know what I mean? We could kidnap a club legend. Bobby Perez come live with Tony. Uh, walk around in his flip flops. Parlor, that'd be a nice one. Tony and Ray Parlor podcasting from right there. Um, nice move, Stan. I truly hope the club can do something to help out. Yeah, I hope so too. Even put it on, like you said, the program.
Well,
Share
I'm
them.
not asking for any money, right? They can afford it,
No.
but I just figured if I ask for awareness, I'll leave it to them. Hopefully, they'll
Yeah,
pick up on it. Maybe they'll want to kickstart the fund. Who knows?
yeah.
I
And
like Tom's last one there.
Tony's always harsh on Arsenal. He wants the best for Arsenal, but he always has the most positive and optimistic things to say at the end of the podcast from your final thoughts. So stay to the end of the podcast, everyone, and watch Tony's final thoughts. Tony, get a Hooters t-shirt, mate. All right.
I
Couple
just
of
need to get a tit job. That's all I need to do. People love trannies. Who knew?
Tony,
couple of
what if I asked Tony? What if Arsenal tune in just to check out what we're about and they hear that now? They'll be like, we don't want to be involved with them. Fucking Tony.
What's their ass talking about transmissions, Stan?
right transition. People love transitions, and this is our transition from Thursday night back to Sunday, right? Stan, I'm going to ask you
Yes, sir.
a couple of questions. Do you
Oh, yeah.
think you? I sort of said Sambi Lokonga can't perform that single pivot role all by
Today he
himself
wasn't used to that role. He's going forward.
in the bigger games. Well,
I've always felt he looks a little bit better further up the pitch.
Yeah, I do too.
I've seen some games where he's kind of been deployed. Wasn't he? I think I've seen him in like Xhaka's area. And
he was today almost. He was pretty far against it.
So,
do you think it's harsh to ask Sambi to perform that role?
He looked good the game before. He looked good today. I thought most of the game he didn't look bad.
He's got to learn, hasn't he?
Is it unfair? Is it harsh because we have Partey injured, we have Almani injured, and some would say he's third in line for that DM?
I don't think he's third.
Well, Arteta does.
Well, it's games. If you're third in the pecking line, right, and you've got an injury or whatever, and you're going to get an extended run, isn't this your opportunity to move from third to second, or try and work? You know what I mean? Why are you thinking of yourself as third? It can happen, right? He's a young lad. He played all the time at his club in Belgium.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a novice at kicking the football. He can play football. He needs time to get used to the Premier League, build himself up a little bit. And it's games like I actually think that, yes, we would obviously like to have Partey available, but for him, this is like a blessing in disguise. He's getting a valuable game time that he wouldn't have got otherwise. Mm-hmm. And that can only be good for him. We've just got to make sure that when you've got young players, they lack consistency. So we have to be careful that we don't try and cane him, and he's got and then have some shit games and that. Do you know what I mean? You know, there has to be some way of giving him balance and helping him out. And I think you'll see that he's not on his own because Granit Xhaka, it's a fluid formation. He's not there on his own. Granit comes back. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago I was talking about, Granit's popping up everywhere. Granit Xhaka sometimes looks like he's got like a free roll. There's times he's popping up. I'm looking at something happen, and there's something going on in our penalty box, and it looks dangerous. And then I see a guy in a red shirt come wriggling out with the ball and kick the ball up the field. I'm like, who's that? And it's number 35, Granit Xhaka. I'm like, the fuck did he get there? He's popping up and helping out. So I don't think Sambi's on his own. And I'm surely if you're a manager, even if you play a game with a single pivot, aren't you going to go, remember, lads, Sambi, let's not leave him on his own. Remember, keep close to him and help him out. You're going to say that.
I don't think that happened for Manchester United's second goal. I think maybe it was a game plan. And Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo's a clever, wily veteran player who knows something about tactics. He's forced Sambi all the way to the left touchline, and Sambi's tried to fit a ball down the line to Gabriel Jesus. My argument is Sambi needs to think about that and check back toward the inside left position and give the ball to Gabriel Magalhaes and recycle it back there. Do you think Sambi will learn from this, Stan?
Well, he has to, because this is all part of being in the position that he is in the team. It means that there's going to be moments in the game where he's going to learn a lesson. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the third string, would he? If he had nothing to learn, he'd be a starter. So it's where we are at the moment. You know, our first starter, Thomas Partey, is not available.
Yeah,
and he's been captain before in teams. So
if you remember last season when Thomas Partey got injured, I actually thought it was arrogant of Mikel Arteta to skip over El Neni and go straight to Sambi.
I don't know why it took 3 months
work
to
out.
go to El
Yeah,
Neni.
I thought that's arrogant, man. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, if I was El Neni, I'd just be sitting there thinking, you'll be back.
Because there's
think how easily that could have got us into a top 4, and I'd taken 3 months to make.
He may have some better technical abilities than El Neni. I'll even be lenient and give you that. However, the experience that El Neni has means that he has more consistency. If you see where I'm coming from.
And I also feel, Tony, that El Neni will make the correct choices in that situation. El Neni gets castigated for not playing the ball forward. He does play the ball forward. It's a myth. He does play the ball forward. But also, in that situation, if the ball forward, you're playing into 4 Manchester United players, you have to come back and
he can be a little bit. It can be a little bit horseshoey. I'll give you that sometimes, El Neni. But
yeah,
I remember one time they showed.
He does have
that. One game they picked out his passes. He had like 45 passes, and only 2 of them went forward. They all went sideways or backwards.
So
I just think that if you find yourself having to field any player that is in third place for that position, then you have to ensure, and I think it should be common knowledge that the players around him have to be there to help him out and have to give a little bit extra, because we've got someone here who's a fledgling.
Yeah.
And today you had Gabriel right behind him telling him what to kind of do too, which helps.
And these are. I'm glad Sambi was left in the lineup to get more repetition, get more work in that position, and fine tune what he needs to do. As Stephen said, Tony, I'll go to you next, Tony. Stephen said Sambi got hung out to dry in the United game when Gabriel overcommitted.
Yeah, but still a very high line. No room for margins.
Yeah. That's the second goal was Sambi tries to play it into Gabriel Jesus. It comes out to Eriksen. Xhaka is trying to close down the ball, and it's really only Ødegaard there. And look, they have a great pass from Bruno Fernandes, plays a great pass, and then it's a foot race. Rashford on Saliba, and he's got his run on Saliba at that point, and even then Ben White nearly gets back to it. Ben White is getting some criticism because he's on the scene of the crime twice. I know there's some blame there for Ben White as well on the third goal as well, playing everyone on side. But do you think that Sambi can get there, Tony? He can learn.
I think he can. He want to be captain before and all that stuff that he's done. He's young, 22, maybe 23 now.
Well, we saw it in a documentary, right? They pull players in individually into that room with the TV, don't they? Like they had Lacazette in there, looking at Benzema. There was another player that they had in there. I guarantee you, Sambi would have been in that room and they would have gone over that. And maybe they would have even shown him some footage of another player in a similar situation and how they dealt with it. So you can see that they do, look, if we're fucking coming on, the three of us, what the fuck do we know? What the fuck do we know? We come on here. No, but you know what I'm saying? We come in here, right, and we see these things and we discuss it. Guaranteed someone that's paid £5 to £8 million fucking pound a year to find that is seeing it and bringing it to the players' attention. Otherwise, we should be doing the job and we split the money between the three of us and we're still fucking golden.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Um,
mean? So we
yeah.
can't be that naive that we can't believe that only us, here and in the chat box are seeing this shit. They are making sure it's up to the players to take that in. That's when you see what you've got on your hands. That is this guy following instruction, or is it like, how many times have I got to bring you into this room and show you the same bit of footage and keep changing the same thing? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what it's
Yeah.
about.
And we saw Sambi in all
I
or
think that's
nothing.
why we kept seeing him last year. That's why El Nini didn't come in because he's doing something Arteta liked, so he kept putting him out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though it was the wrong choice. But
Listen, Sambi had some good games, especially around October, November of last year. Uh, the spring was tough for everyone, and he came in against Brighton in a tough situation. BX Gunner said, and let's remember, all or nothing. Uh, Sambi complaining about not being able to play too much, and Eddie saying, "You're not the only one, mate.
Is that,
I
hey,
want."
listen, my friend. They keep calling him my friend, innit? Listen, my friend. You think you're the only one? I
Yeah,
like that.
I love.
Eddie's quite mature in that,
I
and
like. Go ahead, Stan. Yeah,
I'm just saying because you're right. I was going to mention that as well, that about that part in the canteen, and now he is getting a chance to play. So hopefully when they're having lunch, he's singing a different song now.
and like Formula One, not everyone can get a seat in a good car, and not everyone can be a Formula One driver. You go to a club like Arsenal, a big club, a traditional club, and you're part of that squad. You're there for a reason because you've got talent to be there, but you also need to learn harsh lessons as well.
And going back to the all
So
or nothing, Mikel Arteta was. Do you remember him saying that? Even those of you that don't play, even if you're not playing, smile, and good things will happen to you. Right? He doesn't
yeah,
want somebody like Sambi Lokonga, what I mean, walking around in the doldrums, having a face that looks like a fucking slapped ass because he's not getting the minutes. He
yeah,
wants you to be okay. I might not be getting the minutes, but I'm ready when I do the minutes come. I'm ready. I'm
yeah.
ready. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? And
And
I'm glad and happy for those that are doing it.
and that's why those of us those fans who like El Neni and like Rob Holding, they have a good attitude. El Neni's the one who's always smiling, they said in that documentary as well. Tony, any final thoughts on Sambi? Do you think he can get there? Um, he has to be coached to recognize these traps that teams are going to lay for him.
yeah, all that comes with age. He's still 22. Midfielders usually come into their prime much older age, late 20s usually. He's got plenty of time to learn, but I think he's a good player. Like Stan said, I like him going better going forward, even though I think he sees himself more as a six. But today he was far up the pitch, did a
Yeah.
good job. I think he
Well,
did a good job with 2 games before that. Really, just one moment he lapsed and that happened, especially in that high line.
it's a learning moment, and the club hasn't gone out and invested in a DM that we all wanted them to do. The situation is Partey's injured, El Neni's injured, and Sambi is the next player up, and we have to hope that he can be coached into making the right decisions at critical times. I thought we're going to delve into that Arsenal performance now on Sunday in conjunction with Sambi, and I'll get a few comments in there, and then we'll talk about that. Big Skinner says, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Casemiro shit today? LOL. I think he's probably trying to get his fitness up. McTominay's keeping him out of the league games, so that's going to change soon, right? The problem is there's nobody in midfield to learn from. That's interesting. Yeah, true. Granit Xhaka, are you going to really, really learn from him? Is Sambi? Well, who is Sambi going to learn his craft from other than the coaches? Our midfield is terribly unbalanced. Sulking about his terrible mentality, says BX Skinner. Inside
See,
return.
the thing
Yes.
about our midfield that I've always has puzzled me is I've listened to interviews from Thomas Partey and Sambi Lokonga, and we kind of place Thomas Partey as a six, whereas the player himself says that he feels that he's more of a box to box, more of an eight. And then you've got Sambi Lokonga, do you know what I mean? Who say that that we sometimes play as an eight. He says he's a six.
Mm,
Yet we play them in the mirror of what they say they are. But as I keep going back to, we do seem to be playing in a more fluid way, right? As I say, sometimes it does look like Granit Xhaka almost has a free role. Sometimes he just keeps popping up in different places in the pitch. Sometimes he pops up in the left back position. Sometimes he's helping out in the defence. Other times he's heading it and hitting the post.
Yeah, I do think that Xhaka was too far forward at Old Trafford for me.
I don't know how he's playing a free role because he's one of our slowest players. So he must be like that one guy off of Doctor Strange where he has like portholes and he can stop and then turn up in defence and then turn up in the fucking penalty box. Because I don't know how his legs are getting him right. Either that or he's got an invisibility cloak. I don't know how he's popping up in all these places.
Why not, said Stan? I'm not paid millions, but even I know you don't play a high line against United. Sit back like Sociedad as they struggle to break teams down like they have done for the past.
Yeah, I think it was more in a manager than it was a player. He could have abandoned that when we got 1-1. He wanted to keep doing it that long.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Because we played such a high line at times in that United game. And I was fucking... It was almost halfway line. I was watching it like that, cause thinking, there's all that space over there. Like, fucking, what's going on over there? But is that a case of them getting instructions during the game from the manager saying, right, everybody up, or is the manager giving them other instructions and the team aren't listening and they're all fucking herding up there? It's one or the other. It's one or the other. Either
today you've seen them up there just as far.
Instructions to do it, because there are times, man, when mega legs, mate. Sometimes it's like, I mean, he scores a lot of goals and all that, and sometimes it's like, is that a number 6 or is that the 9? And the 9's just gone up.
You seen him up there again today? You seen him up there a lot, Stan?
Go ahead, Tony. Yeah. For me, you mentioned Gabriel Magalhaes. I think there's times when he gets dragged into midfield and he follows his player all the way into midfield. He doesn't need to do that. He's got to stop going with the player at a certain point and drop.
You don't think it's instruction?
I think it is.
Step out.
It can't be.
We've seen it again today, right? They have the same high line today.
It's not, because then you would think then, right? Let's say you're right, right? Let's say you're right, and that, as I said, if you're noticing that and that's something that's not supposed to be happening, then I would like to think that the coaching staff who know better are seeing that as well and going, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, these are like fine points that we need to change. You asked about the high line, Stan. I think that we ask our team to compress the space so we can turn the ball over and transition quickly.
You don't have to be that high up, though.
If our forwards are far up and our midfield's far up, then the defenders are being asked.
Do you need to be 2 yards off the halfway line as a center back?
I know, because we all know you don't play offside in your own half. You can be inside your own half. You're onside.
And you've seen Gabriel today. He was way to the halfway line.
And this is why we create so many chances, because I can see it in my head, right? There's a part that when we get into the final attack, we actually have 5 players all around the edge of the penalty box, right? With channels.
5 lanes. Yep.
Right. And that's
really your fullbacks running inside.
And that's a really good position to get into. But if you can't put the ball away, I mean, you know what I'm saying? This seems to be the problem here. The finishing part of it.
Why not?
Or not even the finishing. Sometimes the hesitation on finishing. The hesitation.
And it seems like Odegaard and Smith Rowe is only 2 that can do it consistently.
Okay, so Tony, going back, this is the last sort of segment on Man United, and we'll draw a line under that 3-1 defeat and move on. You want your team to be positive, Tony, or do you want your team or manager, let's say, because the manager sets the tone here. Do you want your manager to be pragmatic? You want Arteta to be pragmatic at 1-1? Shut up shop, get a point.
You don't have to set up shop, though. Just bring in Tomiyasu. I think that would have been enough. Tell the center backs to drop back a little bit. But you're still having your fullbacks attacking. That's not a stop. Just bring in a better defender.
So would you be more pragmatic? Is that or
yes? Okay. 1-1, you're a little bit more pragmatic. you're
One
still
one.
being positive. You don't have to change much. Just bring on a better
Well,
defender and have your center back set back
you see,
where you
for
don't get
me,
killed on a counter.
when Bukayo Saka scored that goal and we equalized, I wasn't going, yes, we can draw this game now. Yes, we can get 1-1. I was going, yes, we can beat these lot. You know what I mean? And the emotion, I think, Tony, gets the better.
Yeah, but you can do that with substitutions. You don't have to keep playing a high line.
For me, I think we're going to win more games being positive. And this one was where you get caught out. The best teams get caught out. Liverpool got caught out at Old Trafford 2-1. They're beaten. Rashford scores the goal.
But you don't think if we just bring in Tomiyasu, things couldn't go different? You
Definitely.
don't have
I
to
think
change.
a lot of things could have went different in that game. We lost 3-1, and I'm sure Arteta's thinking about what he could have done differently. Stan, where do you feel at 60 minutes at Old Trafford, 65 minutes before we lose the second goal?
Initially on the day, I was disappointed because the visions of the gaping holes behind when we gave those goals away, it kind of, you could look at that and think that we played shit. But when I watch it back again, and we're talking now time afterwards, and I've had time to reflect, I think that we were the better team on the day. We were the better team on the day against Man United, right? We scored that goal. We scored the first goal, and we got dicked again by VAR. Had that not happened, it could have changed the complexion, because even when that goal got struck off, we still continued, I felt, to be the stronger team. And Man United, to me, looked a little bit shell-shocked.
How many shots do we have, Stan?
22, isn't it?
And
I
how
have it
many
here.
did we have on target?
I have it here. We had 16 shots, 3 on target.
No, it's
It was
22.
22 in the game. Yeah, it's 22. Yeah, there was 2 games. One was 22, one was 16. I thought the Man United one was 22 and the game before was 16. Or it's the other way around. Or it's the other way around. But we were, 16? I felt that we were the stronger team. And even if you listen to some of the interviews afterwards, I think even Marcus Rashford alluded to us being the stronger team.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't fucking help anything, but you would think that a player being interviewed after a game and the scoreline is 3-1 would be talking about dominating the game and blah blah blah.
Player. I have a lot of respect for Rashford.
And Rashford was kind of alluding to that, that we were unlucky and that we were the stronger team. And if I can hear that, I hope our players can hear that, and that helps them to continue and not feel like, well, that was a fouled cause, because we again, I mean, I hate it when it goes into the hands of officials and stuff like that. But I mean, we spoke about it on Sunday and previously, but I mean, the inconsistencies, what's happened over the weekend, other things that have happened in VAR, it's almost like this tool, which was supposed to be implemented for clear and obvious stuff. You know what I mean? It seems to be implemented. It seems to be the other way. It seems to be like, let's find a way of how we chalk shit off.
Can I ask you?
Hindrance assistant referee is
the one part of the game which is supposed to be the fun part. Let's find out. Let's see how we can eradicate that shit and get rid of it.
We understand that Tierney, the referee, wanted to actually give the goal as being legitimate to Arsenal, but he was strongly.
So that means then it wasn't clear and obvious for VAR to get in his ear. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be a clear and obvious thing. That if it was, the referee couldn't have been any closer.
He was strongly advised to look at VAR and strongly advised to take their record.
But even if they are, you still sit there and
wankers.
As Gunter would say, wankers.
He was running. He let it go, and in his ear, it was like, we strongly advise that you look back at that. And he was like, why? And he was like, because it's Arsenal. It was like, oh yeah, of course. Over to the screen.
Why not? So don't bring on a defender at 1-1. Reset, reshape, organize 0-0, frustrate the players and the fans in the toxic ground, who in turn get on the players as well. And United were on the back of a 3-game winning streak as well. We passed better, but passed with no intent or penetrative action. And Stephen, the Arsenal misfit, said, if we play the North London derby like we did Man United, we're going to get ripped apart. So Stan, where do you stand on it? be positive and you'll get more results over the long haul, or be pragmatic? Do you want to be a Pep in that situation, or do you want to be a Jose Mourinho?
Why
And
can't
that's
you
why-
do both?
Or do you do both? Do you go case by case?
Yeah, you have to go. I think you have to do that.
Case by case.
Yeah, I think that's the best way.
Is
Sometimes sticking to your guns can be your undoing. No, no, no. I know I'm right. And it's all no. Sometimes you have to be flexible. Sometimes you
Arteta
have to go,
just
hold
seems
on a
way too
minute.
much that way.
Hold on a minute. This isn't working here. I need to change something to
We've
to
seen-
keep in this.
That's Arteta's worst trait, just being set in his guns.
I
Tony,
don't think
we've
so.
seen
I don't
We've
think
seen
so,
it in the-
Tony. I don't think so, Tony. I mean, he does make he makes a lot of changes
Well-
sometimes. He'll slam in a Rob Holding in there to shore stuff up.
Yeah, but
He'll bring in an Eddie and not take off.
you heard him in All for Nothing. He said, "This is the way we're gonna play. I can always drop 1, 2, 3, or 4 of you, but this is the style I want. This is what we're gonna do."
Oh yeah, he has a style, but I think that he's mature enough to know that in some games you're like, hold on a minute, the style isn't working today. Therefore, it's like American football, right? You watch all that. They've got fucking playbooks, right? Plays. If this isn't working, they've got another play. So, obviously we've got our style of playing. And sometimes that was Wenger's undoing. Sometimes we refused to play other ways, and we would continue to try and play
But wouldn't
our
you
way
done that Sunday,
through.
seeing that the high press
Why
wasn't
not
working,
send-
you need a way off of it?
Well, I think
Especially when Ronaldo comes
we
on.
really wanted to win that game, right? And we should have been 1-0 up quite early on,
Put your better defender on.
Yeah,
the word
I mean,
is game management. Why not say the word is game management?
what would have happened then if rather than go for it, if he had then started playing in a very defensive fashion, and then we still ended up losing the game? Other people then would be saying, "What's he doing?" We're at 1-1. Instead of going for it, and we had a lot of control, we're now holding back. We're letting them back in the game.
With the fan base, you're.
But I don't think you're holding back by telling your center backs to stay back a little bit. Keep having your fullback go, but bring on one fullback that's more defensive. It's not
I agree. We could have been a bit more conservative. I agree, Tony.
Stan, do you think I think Arteta's a vibes manager, right? So we've seen it through the All or Nothing documentary. He's come up with a couple of things to try to impact the players.
He's
like a light bulb. He's got
pulling
the heart
rabbits out of top hats,
the brain and the heart.
Duck or rabbit.
Do you think he's a little
the journey or the destination?
Do you think he's a vibe manager on the sideline? He goes with the vibe of the game and he gets caught up in the emotion of the game, you think? I think that's maybe what happened.
I think he's too busy micromanaging what he wants.
I mean, we saw in the documentary he had like a hoarse throat. You know what I mean? He's always losing his voice on that, isn't he? Because he's very vocal on the sideline.
Yeah. So Tony, you think he is a micromanager?
Yep.
Don't you think he wants the team to just be more positive, go forward, win the game? I think that's what he's all about.
We've heard that before, though. We heard Lacazette say that. You've heard, because he was shouting at the team to go forward, and the players weren't listening to their captain or the manager. So why are they doing it? Are they tired of being micromanaged, not being creative, going out there, doing what they think they need to at the moment? Instead, you have this philosophy of how you want to play.
I
really
think
rigid of it, and never varying away from that, hardly at all.
And I think it was very naive to bring on 3 substitutes at a very crucial time in the game.
I don't think so.
You thought it was a good idea to bring 3 on
What, today?
No, he's talking about.
Oh.
Do you think it was a good idea to bring 3 players on one time at 73rd minute?
I don't agree with the players he did, but yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. I just thought it was gonna upset our pattern of play. We were playing well at the time. And then maybe not 73rd minute. We were playing well before the second goal.
You seen our opponents today do it twice. They brought on 3 players.
You know, maybe that's
And
a
they still
question where he's
almost
thinking, okay, I'm going to take Odegaard
they still
off.
almost nicked a draw today, right?
I'm going to take Odegaard off. I want a player that's going to take a little bit more shots. And, you know, you got Vieira that will come in and maybe do that, right? You know, maybe he sees that, you know, they're cutting Odegaard off. He's traveling with the ball too much. He's not getting to make his passes now. It's not being incisive. Let's swap him for someone that maybe take a few more shots. We have that variety now.
Now,
Teabag takes shots.
Teabag take shots, and I thought I've seen a lot of good things from Fabio Vieira. Teabag. For anyone who hasn't been at the start of the podcast, Stan has christened Fabio Vieira as Teabag. I'm going to counter that with Matt Turner is Matt Turnover. So there you go. Tony, you're going to have to come up with a nickname for a player. Listen, we've gotten as far as Manchester United away from home, and the next few games are vital. We don't know when they're going to get played now, obviously, Stan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's up in the air now, isn't it?
At least for this weekend, it's Everton is slated.
Whatever the fixtures were, I think, before the World Cup, is it going to be a case of we try and cram them in a little bit like under the COVID days, you know, we're cramming games in, or is it going to be like, well, we just have to spread them out a little bit more? So
you can't because you got
there's no space. I believe
it's an unknown, isn't it? It's an unknown.
With the
I think
FA Cup mainly kicking off the second half. There's too many things to. You got to squeeze them in now somewhere.
Yeah. Stephen said, Man United have proven that they can't break clubs down. We should have shut up shop and hit them on the counter. Yeah, exactly. And I think Mikel Arteta is a vibes manager, and he gets caught up in emotion sometimes as well. We've seen it at Liverpool away from home. He brought that emotion to Jurgen Klopp, and I think this season he'll have a better team to go to Anfield with. Looking at Liverpool right now, they're not the team that they were last season for whatever reason. Pressure was on them to win.
They got too old and they sold the wrong attacker.
Exactly. And Sadio Mane, you just visualize now the kind of pressing he put on other teams as well. Fabio and Marquinhos could be massive signings, high potential. Let's hope that this was the first of many good games for them. So Stan, Man United, Everton, Brentford, going to be difficult games, but a similar game to Man United. Tottenham will set up like Man United.
Everton's going to be a difficult game, right? Come on.
Brentford away will be difficult. Don't understate Brentford away from home. They took apart Leeds United. Sorry, Mr. Tom, but they beat Leeds United 5-2. Stan, Tottenham are going to set up like Man United. We need to learn from Old Trafford for this North London derby.
I think they've been lucky in some of the results that they've had. I don't think they've been convincing. They've had some decisions and stuff go their way, you know. But you know what it's like when it's a North London derby, form and all that sort of shit goes out of the window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different day. As for Brentford, I honestly believe you give them so much high praise, Ryan. I don't understand. I don't get it. You really give.
I was telling you about Ivan Toney.
Oh, not again.
Stan, what did he do? Ivan Toney. You can't negate the hat trick he had. It was a high quality hat trick.
Did he get a hat trick? Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I tell you, a really good.
It's not hard to tell the players, right? Really,
you sound like you just met Father Christmas for the first time.
I think if we got Ivan Toney, he could transform our team.
Really?
He would be that option B up front.
He's got rid of has he got rid of the man bun? He has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I could be open. I could be open.
You were closed before, and now you're open. Okay. Yeah. Tottenham. Okay. Tottenham, North London derby. Let's move on. Tony, you got anything to say about the North London derby or Brentford?
North London derby. Well, how many things do you want me to comment on, right? All of them?
All Ivan Toney.
We should have went for him this one.
As well, we are long overdue with St. Tottering's Day, and we are long overdue a good hiding against Tottenham. Wasn't the last one the 4-2 under Emery? Has there been anything after that?
Not a hiding, but we've beaten them 2-1 the last
Oh,
two.
okay.
We beat them 3-1 last.
I remember the 4-2 because I was there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we beat them 3-1 and we beat them 2-1. It's gone to serve in the last 2 seasons. We've won at our place, they've won at their place. You know. All right.
It's been 7 seasons since we finished above them. Let's fucking end that.
So we're going to round this out by generally talking about what's going on in the Premier League. There are fixtures we're going to talk about, but we don't know if they're going to get played at all. We'll talk about Chelsea because that's the first one up.
Where's the little banner of where we're standing on our upset picks, right?
Tommy Tickle has left the building.
I haven't updated that yet, Tony, but I will. I haven't updated it since last week, so that's all I'm going to say.
I'm the only one with a perfect record.
Tommy Tuchel, what happened there, Tommy?
What happened?
Tony Tickle, what happened?
What? Well, yeah. Did you read the article that supposedly they said they wanted the...
Yes. Tell Stan.
That's 11. That's 12 players.
Tell Stan.
A 4-4-3. The new owners wanted a 4-4-3. Tommy Tickle wasn't very impressed.
The owners
are basically selling in the formation now that they want to play in.
Yeah, and that's what they were trying to force.
Around the players.
That's what they're trying to force on Tony Tuchel.
You see, this Todd Bowley guy, right? Todd Bowley, he has sports franchises in the States, I believe, and all of that, right? And I remember when he took over, the first thing he fucking come out of his mouth was, I think we should get rid of like the transfer system and bring in trades. And it was like, mate, please. Do you know what I mean? What are you fucking doing? Do you know what I mean? So it's obvious that this guy is, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't got a fucking pot of glue, has he? What's he doing? Talking about? You know what I mean? Start telling the manager the formations and that. And what I heard today was that apparently he, Tommy Tickle turned up after, the next day or whatever it was, the next time they had their training session, and he went to the training ground at Cobham with a view to tear a strip off the team and show them the videos or whatever. And he turned up, there's no fucker there. No one there. So then they're like, all right, there's you've got to take a conference call in the office. And he goes in there and they were on the phone to him. And it was a 10-minute telephone conversation. And during the conversation, apparently Tommy Tickle begged them not to fire him and to give him an opportunity to turn it round. And Todd Bowley was like, wielded the axe and was like, no, mate, time's done. You're done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There must have been some conversations between Chelsea and Potter.
Yeah, but you have to think of it like this, right? It must have been just because of that result. Because how long ago was it that they signed Aubameyang? A week ago, if that?
Yeah.
So at that point, right, when the manager is talking to the owners about releasing money for player X or whatever, they were obviously still on board with him. Obviously, because if they knew then that there was a problem, they would have gone, you're never going to believe it, man. The fax machine ran out of fucking toner. We tried, but we couldn't get ran out of toner, man, and we ran out of paper or whatever. But they were obviously on board to spend money to bring in this player. And I think, again, it shows the ineptitude of someone like Todd Bowley that thinks that, a bad result or whatever, you fire someone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is a man that's won in the Champions League, the World Club Cup. They gave him $500 million. No, it was $250 million to spend. 250 million. They gave him that much money. And then they're going to pull the trigger on him? That doesn't make any sense. Because
weird.
now the guy that comes in, you're banking on, well, I hope he likes what we've got in place.
BX Gunner's got a certain song in his head. Must have been love, but it's over now.
Poor decision. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad because it's Chelsea, right? And I want them to fail at every opportunity. But on, looking at it away from the Arsenal thing, it's a poor decision. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. If you're going to do something like that, you don't do it just after you've given a guy 250 million, and now you want to tell him to leave? All right,
Do you?
carry on.
So, I think, and they must have been in contact with Potter as well. There must have been some back channels going on for Graham Potter. Even Graham Potter might have known over the weekend. We all
And
saw
like-
that Brighton win.
And this is going to be so interesting because Graham Potter is a player, a manager that we've seen what he's been doing at Brighton, a club that they can go and sell some of their best players and still continue to compete.
Yep.
But it's going to be a big test. There's been other cases of managers who have done really well at middling clubs. You know, they basically get in a club to punch above their weight, and then they get given the keys to the kingdom of a big club, and it is a different ball game. You know, and some managers can't adapt to that. You know, Eddie Howe, right?
Yeah.
Remember when he went from Bournemouth to, where did he go to? He went to Villa, didn't he? For a while. Where did he go? Eddie Howe went.
I think he
somewhere.
went down
Yes,
with Bournemouth.
They went to Brentford, or he went somewhere, right? He went for another. It does happen though, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Graham Potter now. I mean, another thing to think about, right? They brought in a really strong personality in Pierre Aubameyang. He's a very strong personality, as we know. And, you know, they wanted us to believe that it was going to be the great reunion between him and Tommy Tickle. But remember when he left Borussia Dortmund to come to Arsenal, there was the stories that there was unrest.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have left on a good note. So they were trying to gloss over all of that and tell it, oh, yeah, they're old muckers, mate. They love each other. But now... he's not there now. Now, does Aubameyang believe in Graham Potter? Does Aubameyang think that Graham Potter is good enough to coach him? Because he comes across like that kind of a guy.
Right.
Do you know what I'm getting at? And if he doesn't believe that, I'd put my fucking money on it that when Graham Potter gives his first team talk, Aubameyang's going to be late.
I think he'll start out okay. Aubameyang will be on his best behavior, but I think the two are not a match made in heaven. That is for sure. Tony, tell us about the Dodgers' spending habits.
Well, I know a little bit because they're AAA teams in Oklahoma City, but I don't really care about baseball. It's boring to watch on TV.
The other situation I heard about was Ronaldo. Todd Bowley wanted Ronaldo at Chelsea, and Tuchel was against that. I think that's another point of contention between them that led to Tuchel. And Tuchel's always been that personality that eventually he was going to fall out. He fell out at PSG. He fell out here at Chelsea. And now he's gone. And I don't know who's going to pick up Thomas Tuchel, but he is a decent coach. Which, as with everything at Chelsea, Tony, it had a shelf life.
You know where he'll probably go, Ray?
Where? United? Well, not United.
Leipzig.
Go back to Germany.
They're struggling very much. It won't surprise me if they made a move for him.
Mr. Tom said, allegedly, when they wanted to talk transfer targets in the summer, they did their homework as if Tuchel plays 4-3-3. Yeah, and they presented a 4-3-3, which he doesn't play, and I think Tuchel was angered by that. Thomas Tuchel, Stephen said, Thomas Tuchel was a victim of the owner's lack of knowledge and the chaos they brought because of it. God help Potter. Potter has to know and has to have had a conversation about what he's getting himself into. Do you think that he would have? Do you think Potter, Tony, is just happy to have this opportunity with a top 6 club?
You have to take it when they come knocking.
You have to, right? You do have to take it, right?
Even if you know the ownership group might be shit or not up to par, you're still going to take the stance, say, hey, Chelsea has good players. I think I can shape them good enough and turn things around. Have belief in yourself and belief in the players. So.
Yeah. I think you're right. You have a manager who's come up through various sides. He played with Sturmsgrad, beat Wenger 1-0 with that team, and done a great job with Brighton. As Stan said, Brighton is a club who finds players relatively cheap, They bring him into the team. They make him play well in the system.
I wonder who they're like turn around and get. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, and I think is a Lallana is the player manager right now. I was going to take the game this weekend. Um, but Brighton have this model of bringing players in and selling them for profit, right? And they get really, really good results in the Premier League. They're never going to win the Premier League. They're never going to get into Europe, but they do really, really well. The model works really well.
They might get in Europe. They had a chance at Europe this season, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
So do you reckon when Brighton side Cucurella like put was like, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See, yeah,
just hold the fort down for me.
I'm like, why am I going to Chelsea instead of City? I was supposed to go to City. Stephen said, I think that Chelsea are in with a chance of missing out on Europe altogether. Does this make them any worse? Graham Potter, switch
No.
Potter for Tuchel. Do you think you get about the same thing, Tony? Whatever they are this season, you know what I mean?
I don't think the players liked what Tuchel was coming out and saying.
What, home truths?
Yeah, I don't think they really liked it.
Players never like that stand when managers throw you under the bus.
Well, it's different. It's so different these days, right? Because the players they drive to
They
work
hold so much power.
They're driving to work in cars that cost like $200,000.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
gold member.
Look,
we had our own gold member, didn't we?
Let me use Nicola Pepe as an example. I'm not digging him out, but you know, he was with us for 3 years. He's a young lad, come to Arsenal from France. And you would think, yeah, that something like that is a big move, big step in this guy's career. It's coming from, you know, the Farmers League, the Bush Leagues to come and play in the Premier League. The guy drove to work in a Ferrari on his first day. You know, he's not, you know, he's not scraping a living.
Do you know what I want to know?
He's already doing all right before he came to Arsenal. That's how he is.
Do you know what player I want to know what they drive based on their
Xhaka drives that
intro into the club? I want to know what Saliba's driving.
I don't reckon that was even Xhaka's smart car.
What do you think Saliba's driving with his big elaborate video he had coming to the club? That looked like a $5 million music video when he came to the club.
It was like a plane, didn't he?
Little old William Saliba coming on the jet.
All right.
It just looked like a fucking rap video.
Why not?
Very well produced one.
Found out today Potter has a degree in human behavior and working relations, and that can help you because you have to relate to human beings.
I don't know too much about Graham Potter. He's a very nondescript kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's a bit like Weetabix.
He doesn't look like
it's good for you, but it's bland.
He looks like he's no nonsense as well, Stan. So
he's doing something right. I'm not digging him out. He's doing something right.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time, I think.
Tony and I agree that he had to take this opportunity, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, opportunities don't come along, you know, all of the time, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're like, well, it looks like it's cursed there at the moment, then if you believe in your talents, maybe you think that I'm the one that can turn it around. You know, this is a team that's just run, you know, it's only recently they won the Champions League and the World, you know, Club Cup. So, you know, Graham Potter thinks it's time for him to see whether he can sink or swim. I'm sure there's a hefty pay rise that comes along with it as well. Man's probably got a family and that, right?
Yeah. If it doesn't work, he can go back to lower reaches of the Premier League. He'll get a job as well. BX Skinner said, apparently the Chelsea players didn't like him barking from the touchline all game. There you go. Not the only manager that does it. When the Dodgers spend big, they get the best. At Chelsea, they pay way overpaid on most of their signings.
Yeah.
I don't think this Todd Bowley is going to take Chelsea forward. They may stay relatively where they are, or they could drop back. I think it's most likely they'll drop back.
It sounds like he's a wannabe manager to me. He's going to be in there.
Why not said I think Potter will get fourth, but won't be.
Something else that I heard as well was that, you know, the relationship between Thomas Tuchel was that, you know, the board or whatever you want to call them, the ownership, they really wanted to have this close relationship with the manager. And I think that was something as well that Thomas Tuchel was, you know what I mean? over involvement. So you bring in somebody like a Potter, someone who you're giving an opportunity to, who hasn't already dined at the table. They may, in order to get that opportunity, they may waive certain things like, okay, so there's going to be a lot of involvement from the board and blah blah blah. But okay, I'll go along with that and I'll prove my worth. He hasn't got enough credit, he hasn't got enough money in the bank to say fuck that shit, like maybe a Mourinho would. I'm getting at that. He hasn't got that yet. So that's what you do. You get in a young manager who, a little bit like Mikel Arteta as well, right?
Mm-hmm. We'll go for another 10 or so minutes, not too much longer, unless you're game to go a little bit longer, Stan. You let us know. I'm going to leave you guys for a second. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to go to another club like Liverpool? Do you want to chat about something else in the league here? We talked about Chelsea. Is there any other points you want to bring up, Tony or Stan?
Not really for me. I don't think.
What's going on with Liverpool? Well, I'm obsessed with Liverpool, right, Tony?
I don't know why you're so fucking obsessed. Worry about us.
Do you know why? Because I see us as maybe getting above Liverpool for the first time in many seasons. That's why. And they're stumbling big time right now. That Champions League defeat at Napoli, 4-1. And I didn't see the highlights, but I've seen some clips of players just walking around on the field, not applying themselves. Dave, LFC Chats, Dave, is posting things that are very worrying. If I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm reading that stuff, I'm worried.
I think of a big six. They're the most likely one to miss completely out on Europe. Maybe even miss the Europa Conference League. Want to surprise me at all?
There are Liverpool fans who are trusting Klopp and trusting the club, and their trust is not being confirmed right now in the last 2-3 weeks. There's draws happening, there's defeats happening, and they're not getting the wins. Mo Salah's not scoring, Stan.
It was only a few weeks ago where I was like, I'd see them have a bad result, and I'd be like, you wait until the next game, they're going to come back.
You and Gary.
They're going to kick somebody's ass, and the next game comes and they get done again. And it's at the stage now where you're thinking like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe the wheels have well and truly fallen off because they seem to be suffering. I don't know. Is it a case that sometimes like some personalities, they can only hold the magic for so long? You can only buy into what they say for so long.
Or all the main pieces were getting so old, they're eventually just slip up like this.
I saw a tweet.
I mean, Milner's been a great servant for Liverpool, but I mean, the guy should have a fucking free bus pass by now, surely. I mean, how long can that go on for? The same with Henderson, right? So they are a little bit creaky. And Darwin Núñez, I mean, okay, it's been a bit stop-start for him. So we've not had I don't think I've had an opportunity to really judge whether he was worth the 80 million yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Firmino has been brought out of the cobwebs, and he's still providing for them, though. So what is the problem? They're leaky at the back.
They didn't invest in midfield.
The back was where they're supposed to be assured, right? They've got Alisson in goal.
Do you know why the back is assured, Stan? Because they've always had players in front of that back four that their fullbacks could push on, and that midfield was providing the protection.
Yeah, the right back's not very good defensively, I don't think. The right back lacks a little bit defensively, but gives them more going forward. Is it Trent Alexander?
Yep.
And then Robertson, I thought Robertson was supposed to be that. Isn't he like the first choice in Scotland ahead of Tierney?
Yep.
Okay.
I saw a tweet. The Gegenpress has turned into no press at all. Mo Salah signed the
Gegenpress, more like the fucking Luthez press. If you watch wrestling.
Tony, Mo Salah signed the thing.
Where's Mr. Tomlin? Where's Mr. Tomlin? You need him.
Yeah, he's all gone to bed.
Bobby
now.
Digital. I love that.
There's only a handful of strikers you give fucking $400K a week when they're 31 years old.
Yeah, and we saw this with Aubameyang, but I never thought.
I saw it. Who kept preaching against it?
No, we saw this happen. You were the prophet that saw it years ago. We saw this happen at Arsenal, is what I'm saying.
I foresaw. You saw. Okay.
Yes, we saw the demise of Arsenal through Aubameyang, and I didn't think the same thing could happen with Mo Salah. Is it too
I
early?
did. I thought they were
You
going to
know what
sell
happens,
both of
right?
them,
You get a big
honestly.
contract like that, and he spends so much time at home, right, naked, rolling around in the lounge and all that bundles of cash. You're knackered when you go to work, so I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, it's tough. It's not
Bobby,
He
easy.
looked
Bobby,
like fucking
Bobby.
Scrooge McDuck.
Also, I mean, look at Dele Alli, right? He turned when he signed for Everton, right?
I'll be
You
right
got to
back.
imagine it, right? He signs for Everton. It's like a working man's sort of area, working class area. Guy and the people are like, they can't. It's like eat or heat. They can't, heating bills are so high. Man turns up in a Rolls Royce to sign for his contract. I mean, read the fucking room, mate. Do you know what I mean? Turns up in a roller.
Yeah, I thought they were
So
going to sell both Mane and Salah this summer, really. They've been better off.
yeah, why has Salah gone off the ball? I mean, how old is Salah now? Has he just hit
30.
30, right?
31, I think.
Meanwhile, Sadio Mane is doing very well, as I understand, over in Germany. So, what do you think then, Tony? I mean, do you think it could be a blessing in disguise that this weekend the games could be cancelled? I think it is for Arsenal.
I
Sometimes it's
just
good
don't know
to
when you.
carry momentum, but it gives us a little bit of respite while players are coming back. Because I hear Partey's training, right?
Yeah, but he's still not in
But
in
another
with the
10, yeah, but
team.
I know, but another 10 days
No,
out. Yeah,
no contact and all
another
that
10
stuff.
days out, maybe an under 23 game or something like that to like get the old circulation going. It could work in our favour.
Yeah, but just
Saka, people have been saying about Saka, right? Oh, he needs rest, he needs rest. Well, he might get rest now. So surely that's a good thing as well, right? So what I'm saying is, you're making something, you're making lemonade out of fucking shit, making a good thing out of a fucking bad situation.
I don't know.
Maybe in Arsenal's case,
I don't think it's a
the
good
gap will
thing.
help. No,
I don't think so. We seen
why?
last year was postponing the Spurs game. So did that help us or end up hurting us?
I don't know. I think it could help us.
I just think everything's so congested as it is now. I mean, look at fucking October. Look at the schedule. Look at all the games in October. Are you fitting in more games in September?
Whereas, for example, a team like Man United or Chelsea, I think it hurts them because they actually need games, right? They need to be Liverpool. I think it hurts Liverpool not being able to get and play another game after their loss against Napoli. They want to try and get some momentum back. The last thing they want to do is stop.
Yeah.
But I think where we are, we're sitting at the top of the league, won our first 5 games. We got fucking dicked against Man United. We're playing with not our full team. I think for us, it gives us a time to maybe regroup.
Go again. Yeah.
I still think it would probably be kicked in this month. I don't know where else you're to fit it in at.
And if we are going to miss Everton,
And remember, the Queen was a gooner. So,
yeah.
And a mother. So, maybe this is her thinking, okay.
Looking after us.
I'll do my little bit for the boys.
Yeah. Looking after us. Okay, so let's finish up. I suppose we've gone a long old stint here. Anything else hanging out there? Not really. Man City, are they the real deal, Stan? Man City and Haaland.
I mean,
they're irresistible, as Monkey Magic would say.
I mean, look at Haaland. I mean, what can I say? It's
I still can't believe there are people thought he was a fail in the Premier League.
Yeah, we thought it would be Haaland versus Nunes. Darwin didn't turn out that way, and
don't know yet. It's been stop start right because of the red card and that. Let's see. Again, that doesn't help Liverpool. You spend 80 million on someone, and then he's unavailable for one of your biggest games in the season. I mean, what is going on there? What is going? I mean, again, that's about buying the right players. It's not necessarily just about the ability, but there's other facets to the player, and that is a big letdown. If I'd spent 80 million on him and he got himself red carded for 3 games now.
And
Beginning of
Klopp
the
was,
season, when you want to start building your momentum and get him settled in, and one of the biggest games in the season he had to miss, I'll be frothing.
yeah, and Klopp was the manager that always kind of like interviewed his players before they signed them. And you kind of want to see their personality. And I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
like you. It's too
Tony,
early
trust
to
me,
say.
Tony, I can blag an interview, so you know what I mean.
I think it's
Um,
too early to say with him.
I'm just glancing through the Europa League results, and Roma were beaten by Ludogorets, which is a notable result, right?
Yeah,
Um,
everyone, Ludogorets, Mesut Ozil. Sorry.
remember that goal?
Ozil was shit, and always people come back. Remember that game against Ludogorets? And I'm like, I
Good
fucking rest my case, man.
6-0, yeah.
I just, what that Ray is, you still have to worry about those teams that drop into a fucking thing.
Yeah, and that's why, Tony, getting 3 points tonight and taking control of the group is very important. Listen, we'll leave it there.
Yes.
Stan, final thoughts, and include what you're thinking about Arsenal in the first month and a bit. How we doing?
My final thoughts is, like, for me, when we get back to the Premier League, whether it's this weekend or not, it's how we bounce back after coming off of a loss. And I would like to think that we're going to bounce back strong, because it wasn't like we were absolutely whomped and we're licking our wounds. We should be actually wanting to go out there to put it right. We should be chomping at the bit to play our next game, where maybe a team like Chelsea and Liverpool, who knows? You know, even though I said, and I've contradicted myself, even though I said that maybe they need their next game, maybe there's a part of them that are like, oh, fucking hell, maybe we need to be out of the spotlight. But we're the team to be. We're sat at the top of the league at the moment. The table doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it's going to last? But it's confidence, right? You know, we're first. You know, surely we can keep in the top 4.
And
that'll be a big dramatic slide otherwise.
Well, worried about Marquinhos. Let's keep our feet on the ground while we're still talking about him, right?
Let's enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is, and let's not, overhype the guy. And let's give him some time to breathe.
Yeah, I think he'll do, I think, about as well as Martinelli did his first season. Not a hair better.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's not. He's got room to do well, but not be outstanding. And if he's outstanding, great.
I just hope speaking on him, I just hope he gives Xhaka some rest.
Yeah, that's.
If he does that,
I hope he gives him competition.
There for. Competition, rest, mainly rest, I would say. Look at last year's fixtures. We lost multiple games 4 times in the season. And Stan, I know that you said we can't string losses together. So the next one up was very important. We had 3s, we had 2s in there 4 times, and we can't have that this coming season.
Yeah, and some of those losses as well, Brighton, Southampton. You know what I mean? We should have been able to. Everton should have been able to get more out of them, and I truly believe it was because we had such an inexperienced squad, which was going to lead to inconsistencies. It's how much has that been bridged with the business that we've done. We're going to see. We're going to see when we play Southampton home and away how that pans out.
Yeah.
As an example, because as bad as Southampton are, on their day they can still give you a game, right? They can be that anomaly, and it's games like that is where you see where we've come from. I mean, I thought we've done it to Wolves. Let's do it to teams like Southampton as well and get the doubles over these teams and Villas and the Brightons of this world and the Bournemouths and the Fulhams. Let's pick up the points where we need to be picking up the points, or we should be picking up the points.
Right. Indeed.
Indeed.
Take control of the groups and go forward in the league. I'm going to leave the last word to you, Tony, as always. And listen, thanks for joining Stan tonight.
Thank you for having me as always. Thank you to everybody Tony in the chat box.
Hey, we couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without Tony. and everyone else who contributes.
Yeah, because without me and Tony, you'd been on your own tonight. So
I'm not good solo. I'm not good solo. No, I like to bounce off somebody, even if they disagree with everything I say. Tony, get the final word in here. We don't know
Now,
when football will be back.
yeah, we don't know. Like I said, I think with games will most likely be squeezed into September. There's no room in October. We already got 9 games scheduled. No room in November because World Cup stops. We take the break. Got 12th of November. Won't come back until Boxing Day or maybe New Year's. I still don't think that's ironed out yet. And the team, we're where we should be. And even if things go shitty in October, we should still probably be in the top 4 when we break for the World Cup. So we still got chance to redeem ourselves, go into a market in January, make a nice strong run. But things are so fragile. Jesus gets injured. I think we're screwed. You can say that kind of all over the pitch, but mainly Jesus because I just don't have confidence in Eddie to go in Old Trafford, good places, all those places. Just
Yeah. Listen, it's a start. My final thing to say is Eddie did well tonight, and Balogun is progressing well in the French league. I know it's the French league. I think he's gaining confidence as well.
I just we didn't waste a year of his career.
Development. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Tom, good night. Stephen, good night. Thanks for being here as always. And for those of you who are going to watch it on playback as well, do take a look back at the segment where we were talking about Tony and his peg leg. And I'm tired of talking about first legs and second legs.
I'm tired of fucking hearing it because I can't join in.
And as Stan said earlier, shout out to Ryan, Mr. Arsenal podcast, who did put on that 24-hour podcast. And lots of people who have been involved in the initiative, but we got to try and respark it again. Okay, we're out of here. Come on, you Gunners. We're in good shape. 5 wins from 6 and top of the Europa League table. We're headed back to the Champions League. Eventually, I'll be right, Tony.
Eventually. I'm tired of fucking Thursdays.
We'll,
I don't care. I just don't want to watch us play on fucking Thursdays anymore.
as with Saliba, you'll be right one day with Saliba. I'll be right one day with the Champions League, and we'll be back in there.
Hey, I could have been right this year. Fucking Ben White wasn't playing right back.
All right. I can see Stan's ready to say goodnight.
good night.
Say goodnight, Stan.
Stan's got that look. Hit the button.
Say goodnight.
End the broadcast.
Take my job over. Say
Thanks
goodnight,
for watching,
Stan.
everyone. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button.
Stan won't do it.
Good night.
We're out.